right, good evening, everyone, and welcome out to Speed Racing Network, where we present the Xfinity Series week number 4 here at Daytona Road Course. It is the Road to Daytona 150, and we'd like to welcome everybody out there, not only from YouTube, but for tonight, the very first time ever live on Facebook as well. So welcome out, everybody. Hope you have a good time here with us tonight. We do have an exciting race for you, and if it's anything like last night's race, it is going to be exciting all the way to the checkered flag. 45 laps tonight, one fast repair here in these Xfinity cars, and everybody's been talking all week long about how to get speed out there on the track, but still maintain that composure, still maintain those cars without spinning out, and there have been some seriously fast times out there on the track. So this is going to be a great race, and we have a lot of other storylines going on with this that we'll get into as we get a little bit further into this deal. But for right now, let's talk about what this league is. We've got 20 weeks of this. This is only week number 4. There are fixed setups, so everybody's running on the same car. There's no differences in the cars at all whatsoever, just a matter of getting out there and driving better than the other guys. So one fast repair. So yeah, you can get into trouble a little bit out there. You get in, you get that fast repair done, you get right back out there on the track. That is going to be really important here tonight, because one off track could really wreck your night. So you got to get back into the pits, get that brand new car out there, and get moving once again. We charge $10 per week to get into this race, but at the end of the season, you can see there we have a $500 first place prize. And so a lot of leagues, we've been looking at a lot of leagues lately, and not very many of them have that type of a prize fund. And we also have weekly payouts as well in addition to that. So lots of different ways you can make money. We'll show you a few more of those a little bit later on as well. But we do also have 5-person teams in this league, $200 team championship that you guys can split at the end of this season if you are the team champions. So a lot of money running around here in the Xfinity series. And let's talk about that money just for this race. So you're looking at first place $50 and the all-important entry into the Cup Series, which is right back here at Daytona Road Course on Sunday. And so if you do really well in this race, you could get that free entry, which is worth $15, but you could parlay that into a good race in the Cup Series and either make some money up there or at least get noticed. So next season, you can move up that level and get onto a big team up there. Second place gets $30, still fantastic. Third place gets $20. Fourth place gets $15. Fifth and sixth get $10 apiece. And so definitely some money on the line tonight. Now, as far as for the entire season, though, even more money out there. So the Griffith CPA firm season payouts, and Griffith CPA, they've been in business since 1986, making taxes less taxing for everybody. So go out and see Griffith CPA firm. First place, $500. Second place, $300. Third place, $200. Fourth place, $150. Fifth place, $100 for that season-long championship. And then, of course, just like we just spoke about, the team championship, $200 to that first place team. So huge money on the line. Let's talk about where we're at in the season right now. You can see Zachary Taylor up there on the screen. Zachary has 2 wins on the season and a second place. So in the first 3 races, he's gone first, and second. So that definitely puts him way up at the top. And look who's in second place. Right behind him, his own teammate, Mike Lepicki. And those of you that don't know who Mike Lepicki is, let me tell you about this guy. He came in runner-up in Mid-South Madness Season 1. And Mid-South Madness eventually turned into Speed Racing Network. So he was one of the best racers we had back in Season 1, and now he finds himself up towards the top of the list again. So even if you haven't heard the name, watch out for this guy, because he is a great driver, and he is one of those that he'll just kind of sneak up on you, and then he's already passed you for that win. Greg Joyner up there in third for Bronco Motorsports, having a great season. Bo Tiffany is a phenomenal driver for Team SRN, and he's another one of those quiet killers out there that you just don't even know is out there, and then all of a sudden he's got a top 5 finish. Daniel Baldler, that is one to watch for tonight. We'll tell you a story about what happened last night in the Truck Series with Daniel Baldler, between him and Nathan Nixon, who eventually won that race. Be on the lookout for Daniel Baldler. He is up at the top of the leaderboard already for the practice session, so we expect big things out of him. Ryan Ducombe from H2K Motorsports, and then you can see just the H2K Motorsports team just all ganged up there. 4 of the H2K Motorsports teams are in the top 15. So these top 15 drivers right now are inside the cut for our playoffs. Still plenty of time to get into that cut, but you'll see there's a lot of people outside that cut wanting to get in there. And I'll tell you a couple of those. Curtis Young, he is one of those that I expect to move up the list. He has been a great driver all year long. Jay Graves, another one of the most consistent drivers we've had in Speed Racing Network over the past couple of seasons. Eric Hoke down there for R&D Motorsports as well. A couple others. So Greg Linick from Rev Racing should be up a little bit further up the list. Mark Brown as well. Both of those have just had some bad luck in the past few weeks. So I expect to see them up the list. Cody Havens as well. So tons of people on this list that theoretically should be up in that top 15, but that just means that other people have to move down too. So we're going to get the 15 best drivers up in there, and then we're going to lose some really, really good drivers that are already up in that top 15. So we will see how that works out for everybody as the season goes on. Another prize that we have going on is the Clean Driver Award. So Butt Kicker Company has helped us out on this. They have come together and they've said, you know what, the cleanest driver of the season, we will give them a free butt kicker. And so anybody that doesn't know what a butt kicker is, it attaches to the seat of your racing rig, and it makes you feel like you are in the car itself. So basically, if those tires start to slip out from underneath you, you can feel that happening before it even happens. And so really it just changes your entire driving experience on the racing rig, on iRacing. So we sincerely appreciate Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing with Butt Kicker. And if you can't wait until you win that prize, jump onto the Butt Kicker website and use our discount code SRNVS20 for 20% off your first order of full price value. So tonight, we also have a huge award. Sparkle and Shine Mobile Detailing has been so good to us this season, and they have come forward with a Shiny Car Award. This is just for this race because it is such a difficult race out there. One little off track could really mess you up, but the highest placed driver with 0 incidents, you have to have a sparkly clean race. You get $50, which is huge because we just talked about first place in this race gets $50. So these guys are willing to pay out first place money if you just keep the car clean. And so we're going to figure out if anybody can do that. But definitely Sparkle and Shine doing us a huge service on that with that Shiny Car Award. So we appreciate them doing that, and we appreciate everything they've done for us so far this season. Now, if you want to keep that car shiny and you want to be up towards the front, you're going to need a coach. And Kane Cook is one of the best sim coaches out there because he is one of the highest level drivers out there. So he races up there in the Coca-Cola Series, does a phenomenal job up there. He is known for one thing and one thing only, and that is being the hard charger. And what that means is he has started from the back of the pack and worked his way forward. So every week, he's the guy that starts off in the back and works his way all the way forward throughout the race. And he has won more hard charger awards on iRacing than literally anyone in history. So he is the best of the best at working his way through the pack. If you need a coach like that, somebody that can teach you the ins and outs of this simulation, of this game, and teach you how to work your way through the pack while doing so safely and being fast at it, then go to speedracingnetwork.com, book your session with Kane Cook. He is absolutely awesome. And now we've got our team standings, and Tank Racing, behind the 2 wins of Zachary Taylor, is up there at the top, and they are leading the way here. So we will take a look at the Tropical Smoothie Team Championships here. So Tropical Smoothie, eat better, feel better. Go to your local Tropical Smoothie Cafe. If you have one nearby, I strongly suggest the drink called the Beach Bum. Absolutely wonderful. Get that with the Southwest quesadilla. absolutely the best lunch you'll have in a long, long time, and not bad for you either. So Tank Racing moved up to the lead spot this week. So they are up there with 372 points. Not too far behind. H2K Motorsports has had a really strong season. Bronco Motorsports, Team SRN back there in third and fourth. R&D Motorsports in fifth. Rev Racing having a down season right now, but if I know anything about Rev Racing, they have what it takes to move up. If you want a dark horse in this race, look at Rev Racing. And then R2D2 Motorsports bringing up the rear right now, but again, a lot of great drivers on that team. So we can see if those guys can get a little bit further up ahead. Now let's talk about each one of these teams with the Tropical Smoothie Cafe team introductions. And again, go to that local Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Do the Beach Bum, do the Bahama Mama. I mean, do any of those drinks. They are absolutely fantastic and healthy for you too. So let's start off with our team leaders right now. Tank Racing. So Tank, again, these 5 guys have just been great drivers, and one of the things that they are known for is driving together in a pack. They are known for getting right up next to each other and helping each other make it all the way through. And Zachary Taylor has come away with 2 wins and a second place finish. Devin Zimmerman has been fantastic this season. In other series, for some reason in the Xfinity series, he hasn't had the best finishes, so we've got to get him back up in there. But this is a good track for him to do that on. Mike Lepicki, again, one of the more consistent drivers in this entire league. Emerson Ardon, we've watched him race for the last 2 or 3 weeks. He is one of those consistent drivers as well. And then Derek De Silva, same thing. So this entire team is all about teamwork and consistency, and so they do a great job with that. So be on the lookout, especially for where our points leader Zachary Taylor ends up in this race. Next up, we've got H2K Motorsports, and H2K stands for Hard to Kill. And in this league, they are hard to kill. Jovi Sagiped in the number 3, great driver up there towards the top of the standings. Same thing with Ryan Ducom up there towards the top as well. Troy Teichmeyer, Josh Marcy, and Dustin Scruggs. Got to get them a few more good points there so they can move up in the team standings and also in the driver standings as well. But man, yeah, it's going to be a really good ride for them if they can just keep up with Jovi and Ryan up there. It will be a good season. So H2K starting off really right this season. All right, Bronco Motorsports. And so Bronco, again, Chris Massey, the captain of Bronco Motorsports across all 3 of the leagues, has put together a great team here in the Xfinity Series, starting off with Rhett Tucker, who's kind of a newcomer to the league, but in the last couple of weeks that we've seen him, he has been up towards the front. Nathaniel Mon, Gregory Joyner, phenomenal driver up there as well. Nick Gowan in the 88, and then Brad Williams in the 89. So again, this is another team that last season they started off as Wild Bill Motorsports. They decided that they needed a change of attitude. They needed a change of pace, a change of logo, change of name, everything. They swapped it all around, and all of a sudden they started moving up the standings, and this is just the culmination of that continuing. Next up, we got Team SRN. This is the factory team. It's the home team. And Wayne Rayburn, Danny Setzer, Bo Tiffany, Stan Hausman, and newcomer Danny Dow. And so Danny was actually a driver up in the Cup Series, decided to drop down. So the ruling from the admins on that is that he will have to use the first 3 weeks as drop weeks. And so he is starting off behind the 8 ball here, but we have seen Danny Dow before. Danny is a champion driver. He actually won Mid-South Madness Season 1. So great driver there. Can't wait to see what he does now that he's kind of behind the 8 ball and needs good finishes every single week. And I think I just heard somebody walk in. I think we've got our buddy Justin Boyles. Justin, how's it going tonight, man?
Yeah, man, it's going good. You have to forgive me for being a little late. I'm sitting here running through updates and all that good stuff.
You're good.
I'm here and I'm ready to watch a great race, Sean.
Oh, no problem. Hey, man, it's anytime you jump on the computer and you see, we've got an iRacing update, you just never know how long that thing's going to take.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That's for sure.
Well, let's jump into R&D Motorsports. So this is the team from Tennessee, and again, this is another team that was put together by David Duke, and he's got number 6 Daniel Balder up there. Be extremely aware of where Daniel Balder is on the track. Last night, and we'll go ahead and jump into this right now. So last night was one of the best races on a road course I've ever seen, Justin.
Yeah, Sean, I put it on. I was playing a different game, and I put it on. I was going to play it in the background, and if I found myself had the game paused, and I was watching that race last night, man, that was a great race, and it was probably one of the best road course races I've seen. And Daniel will definitely be looking to bounce back after running out of fuel coming off of the final corner with the lead last night.
Yeah, for those of you that did not get to see it, definitely go back and watch that replay on YouTube. It is absolutely amazing. Daniel makes the pass on the last lap and then runs out of gas on the last corner, and that gave the victory to Nathan Nixon. And we do have Nathan Nixon in here tonight as well, so we could see a replay.
Yeah, Sean, and one thing I noticed that if I was everybody else in the field with Daniel Bowdler tonight, it's that Daniel got on the hunt and he never let up. And so if I'm out front and I see Daniel Bowdler behind me, I'd start sweating, and I can almost bet you he'll have enough fuel to get it done tonight.
Yeah, and Daniel Baldler, he absolutely enjoys being that second place car. He'd rather be up front, obviously, but when he's the second place car, he has something to shoot for, and he shoots for it with both barrels.
Yeah, it's when you're behind somebody at a road course, it's sometimes it can be a little bit easier to pay attention to where your braking points are because you've kind of got that reference car in front of you. So that could have been the something that helped him last night.
And now we've got Rev Racing here. And again, Rev Racing, kind of a disappointing season up to this point. But like I said, they are one of those teams that if anybody can do it, it's going to be Rev Racing.
Yeah, Sean, and I made my pick for this race about 3 weeks ago, and he is on this team for Rev Racing in that number 25 car, and that's Marshall Stanley. I just think that he's the best road course racer in this series, and he's in the session. And so as long as he cannot get in any trouble tonight, because I think he'll be out front. We saw that last night with Greg Olnick. If he can stay out of trouble, I think he'll have a good shot to win this thing.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen in the past few races at road courses, not just this season, but previous seasons also, where a leader gets so far out in front that he catches up to lap traffic, and that's where he gets into trouble. So that happened to Marshall Stanley last season. That happened to Greg Olnick last night. So we're just kind of waiting to see who the next victim is, basically.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have that tonight, Sean. But if you're that much faster than guys that you're catching them, especially on a track this big, it can be really difficult to try to make that pass without running over that person in front of you, even if they're trying to let you go. So it'll be interesting to see if everybody can navigate that tonight.
Next up, we got R2D2 Motorsports, and even though they are right now currently last place in the league as far as the team standings, they're led by a guy out there, Jay Graves, who we have seen race multiple times. He is an extremely consistent driver, another one of those drivers I like to call a silent killer.
Yeah, and outside of Jay Graves too, Sean, we've seen a lot of these guys spend some time towards the front. It's just been a matter of putting together the finishes. There's no stage points or anything like that in this series. So you can't just run up front. You've got to finish up there. So I haven't seen any of these guys on a road course, but tonight may be the night that one of these guys can break through and get a great finish for R2D2.
Now, we do have a couple of independent drivers out there. In fact, a third one just showed up, so I don't have his name on here. But we do have the number 24, Jake Rowell, who is one of our Cup Series drivers. We have Alex Link, who's a newcomer this week that is out there on the track. And then we also have the number 47, Matthew Johnson, who is a driver in our Truck Series who had a really great night last night. I think he came in either fourth or fifth.
Yeah, Matthew Johnson kind of took the strategy last night of just riding around and minding his own business, and then he found himself in the top 5. So, Jake Rowell, if I'm not mistaken, he won the Xfinity Series race last week. These guys, independent guys, they're trying to come out here and make it happen. They're here for the money just like everybody else.
Yeah, and last but certainly not least, we do have the Truck Series winner from last night, Nathan Nixon from Rev Racing. He is out there on the track, and so this will be just another week out there that we have a Rev Racing winner out there on the track.
Yeah, they've definitely been able to do that a couple times, and If you can figure out a road course in one style of car or truck, in Nathan Nixon's instance, I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of trouble figuring it out in another one. So I expect him to be towards the front tonight, Sean.
Definitely. Once again, tonight we're going for $50 and an entry into the Cup Series race. And then second place gets $30. Third place gets $20. Fourth place gets $15. Fifth and sixth will get $10 a piece. And right now, a lot of these guys qualifying, and some guys are not deciding to qualify. They're deciding to just kind of start off in the back.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting strategy. I think I'd try to qualify if I was these guys. But the reason they're doing it is they want to start in the back so they can kind of stay out of trouble. So we saw last night these guys get caught up in all kinds of messes to start the race going into turn one. So I think their strategy tonight is just start in the back and stay out of trouble and see if they can pick guys off.
Yeah, it's tough to do here at this course because the infield is so narrow. And we'll show you that throughout the race, how there are some places in that infield that you just cannot fit two cars.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Sean. But it's going to be a great race tonight. I think it's going to be difficult to pass at times. But whoever can manage their tires, whoever can keep their car clean tonight, I think will be in the best shape to try to get the win.
Well, we got Marshall Stanley bringing up the pole position for Rev Racing, and then Daniel Bowdler himself, who took second last night, running out of fuel on the last turn up there in second.
Yeah, I brought it up with Nathan Nixon, Sean, that if you can figure out a road course in one car, you can do it in another most likely. Well, that doesn't just apply for Nathan Nixon. That applies for Daniel Bowdler and a couple of these other guys. So, Marshall Stanley, like I said, I've been picking him for 3 weeks now for this one. I'm banking on him, so I hope he doesn't disappoint me. But he's got to have a handful with Daniel Bowdler on his outside to start this race.
Well, Nick Gowan from Bronco Motorsports is up in third. Jake Rowell, an independent, is up in fourth.
Yeah, Sean, and then you got Rhett Tucker in fifth, Ryan Ducom in sixth, Christopher Heller in seventh, Greg Joyner in eighth, Josh Marcy is in ninth, and then Zach Taylor, a guy we've seen up front all season long, he's in 10th, and we haven't talked a lot about him here in the pre-race, but I think he'll be a factor. He said he's not that great of a road course racer, but I think he'll still be up here and try to battle for a win.
He just seems to be that guy that says, I'm not really that good here, and then he wins the race.
Yeah, Sean, we saw that last night with a couple different guys in the truck series. Said that, they didn't feel too confident in their road racing abilities, and then they ran up front all night long. So I think these guys might be just trying to short sell themselves a little bit.
And rounding out that top 12, Alex Link, the newcomer tonight as an independent, he is up in 11th. And then Aaron Gerwitz, Mr. Consistency for Rev Racing, is up in 12th. So got a couple of Rev Racing guys that are hoping to move their team up the team standings tonight.
Yeah, Rev Racing looks to keep that consistency going and see if they can't pick up a few more spots. And I've raced with Alex Link before, Sean. I've spent a lot of time on track with him, and I know he's pretty talented, and I think he can get these road courses figured out also. So that'll be a name to watch tonight.
And now we are going to just come around this bus stop, kind of go around the turn, we're going to pass the chicane towards the end and then just get this party started with Marshall Stanley.
Yeah, and it's going to be so interesting as these guys dive down into turn one, Sean. It's this big wide turn that then funnels down into this really narrow exit, and you got to be careful because you just don't know how the guy in front of you is going to take it. You don't know how the guy behind you is going to take it. You know how you're going to take it, obviously, but you got to hope that you don't run over anybody and you don't get run over yourself. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys handle it.
Well, we've got 45 laps tonight. Now, I know last night the pit run was about 12 to 13 laps. What is it here tonight?
I haven't gotten a number, Sean, but I can't imagine it'll be much different than somewhere around the trucks. The fuel tanks are pretty close to the same size, so I imagine it'll probably be around that same, probably 15 laps or so.
All right, well, here we go. Pace car dives off, and we are getting this party started. Marshall Stanley goes ahead and jumps out into the lead. Daniel Bowdler right behind him.
Yeah, it's going to be so important here for Marshall Stanley to try to get a good jump and so he doesn't get hit. We saw the leader get hit last night in the bumper. It looks like these guys are going to keep it pretty clean here going through turn one. Daniel Bowdler is going to lose the spot. However, he'll fall in line here into third place as they exit the first road course section.
Yeah, Jake Rowell already up 2 positions after just 2 turns, and so he is on the hunt right now trying to track down Marshall Stanley.
Yeah, and as they come out of this corner, Sean, they got to go into this little breaking left-hander, and this is where the track is the most narrow, and so not a whole lot of passing opportunity where they're at, and then they're just going to jump hard on the brakes. Got to be careful not to lock them up right here.
Yeah, you can see there
And
the
Daniel
track map.
Ballard just locked him up there. Yeah, he just locked him up there in third place. So it's so easy to do, and if you do that too many times over the course of a run, Sean, it'll eat that right front tire up quick.
And you can see how close all these cars are getting around these corners. A lot of times that means some damage, but they're keeping it relatively clean right. Oh, Zach Taylor off the track. So our points leader, he is going to be filtered all the way back to about 21st position.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, Sean, for this thing to come out here and bite you, and that's really the story at every single road course here is Marshall Stanley is going to lead them into the bus stop, and this is a pretty tricky section as well. It's so high speed, and you pick up so much speed when you get back on the oval, and you do have to slow down a good bit. As we've got one in the grass back in the middle of the bus stop, looks like they're going to keep it clean, but then you're going to carry all that speed out of the bus stop, come all the way around, and then you're so used to keeping it tucked down on that double yellow line at Daytona, but you're not going to do that tonight. You've got to ease it up to the wall out of 4 and get ready for this tight chicane that NASCAR added in when they decided to go to the road course last season.
Yeah, how strange is it on this track that is known for such high-speed races to have to slow it down out of that corner?
Yeah, Sean, I'll tell you, man, I was turning some laps at Daytona at the road course the other day, and I kept forgetting there was a chicane when you come out of turn 4 because even in the normal way out, Marshall Stanley was crazy sideways coming out of turn 1. But even as you you're doing the road course, you forget that part has been added in by NASCAR. That wasn't normally a part. But they added that in because they weren't sure if the stock car brakes would be able to hold up if they just let them run all the way from the bus stop exit all the way down into the road course turn 1. So they added that chicane there, and you almost forget it's there. And it's so easy to miss that chicane for sure. Oh, yeah, Bowler's spinning. He's in the grass over here, and it's the mistakes like that, Sean, that are hard to recover from here. Got to be careful not to back up into anybody here.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be filtered all the way. Oh, he's going to take a tow.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's willing to tow there just because it's such a long tow. Seeing as, you've got iRacing's going to penalize you for where you were at on the track. We got another one in the grass over in the same spot. Can't tell who that is, but he's going to get it back out on track, and they're going to be fine. But Marshall Stanley's starting to open up that lead, Sean.
So from third position, Daniel Bowler goes off track, and now he is sitting in the pits, having to take that tow.
Yeah, Sean, I don't think that's going to be one he's going to be able to recover from. You can probably mail it in for Daniel Bowler. No cautions, no stages or anything like that. It's just going to be way too much time to lose on track here. It's probably going to be a lap and a half or so.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on him, but he's one of those that never says die, but being a lap and a half down with no cautions, that's a tough task for anybody.
Yeah, I don't think he'll give up on it, Sean. I'm sure he'll have an opportunity to pick up a few spots. We saw guys finish 3 or 4 laps down last night, but definitely going to be a pretty tall task to come back and try to get the win here as it continues to be Marshall Stanley out front leading this thing.
And Marshall Stanley, once again, and this is kind of shades of what it was last season. I believe it was at either the Roval or Watkins Glen. I think it was at the Roval where he was so far out in front that he started catching up to lap traffic. So he's got to be careful once he comes around to all these lap cars. It'll be a while yet, but still something to look for.
Yeah, how about it was both of them, Sean? It happened to him at both racetracks, actually. So it's such a tough thing. Like you said, though, it will be a while before he gets there simply because this track is over 3 miles. It's actually over 3.5 miles. It's the longest track NASCAR runs. And, it'll be tough. He's got to take care of the stuff. And once he gets to the lap traffic, hopefully he's able to communicate with those guys and make it through it just fine.
You can see the view out of Jake Roell's car, so he is 2 seconds behind. But you can see Marshall Stanley right in front, so 2 seconds isn't as much as you think it is here on a road course.
Yeah, 2 seconds is, on a road course is a much smaller gap than it is at an oval because there's so many more turns, there's so many more opportunities to make up time. So if Marshall Stanley makes 1 or 2 mistakes, that 2 seconds can close up really quickly.
Derek De Silva went off track there, but he is back out there running.
Yeah, these guys are just they gotta take care of the stuff. It's so easy to just barely be too hot through a corner and clip the grass. And what I've found is if you get in the grass at all in some spots on the track, you're going around no matter what you do. So it's going to be key for these guys to take care of the race cars. We have one spinning, that's Devin Zimmerman. He's off track and he's trying to get it straightened out.
Yeah, and once you get into the grass here, there is zero grip. Oh, and he touches a little bit there. That was Michael Amenti that he got into as he was getting back out there on the track.
Yeah, it's just so tough, Sean. You when you make a mistake and you get turned around, you panic and you think I gotta get it turned around, I gotta get back going, and it's so easy to kind of compound these mistakes.
Yeah, and so I've been told by admins that Daniel Bowdler lost a shifter, basically. So he had a mechanical breakdown on his sim rig. So that's what happened to him.
And you hate to see that for Daniel Bowdler. I am showing he is out of the pit, so I don't think he lost a lap. I think he will be able to maintain the lead lap here. So it'll be interesting to see if he can, hold off Marshall Stanley and stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, he's still going to need Marshall to do something wrong out there on the track for him to be able to come all the way back around.
Yeah, he's still, he's the entire track behind him. Marshall can probably just barely see him out of his windshield if I had to guess. But, he maintains the lead lap, and that could be key to picking up a few spots. I wouldn't say that he can't finish in the top 20 at all. I think he can definitely pick up plenty of spots and try to salvage something out of this.
Now back towards the back of the track, we've got a lot of guys still shuffling around, still trying to find their way back here.
Yeah, these guys are trying to settle in, and, it's funny because my session events are just jumping all over the place, just, with insert name here and then went off track. As you see Brad Williams, he got hard into the tire barrier there, and he reduced a little bit of weight off of the nose of that car. So it's a tough place, Sean. I think it's definitely the toughest road course on the circuit now, and that may be simply because not a lot of us have a ton of practice here, simply because it's just now been added to the schedule. But right now Marshall Stanley's not struggling with it at all.
So, yeah, right now he's got a 4-second lead over Jake Rowell, and he's opening. And so just pulling away a little bit as it goes on.
Yeah, and, Sean, if for the folks at home probably don't know how iRating and stuff works if you haven't ever been on iRacing, but you get a rating for every single discipline of racing: oval, road course, dirt, oval, dirt road. And iRacing tracks it for each. When you're at that kind of track, so tonight we're a road course, it shows these guys oval iRating, and Marshall Stanley has at least about a 1,300 iRating advantage over everybody tonight. So he's definitely the number one car in the field when it comes to oval road course iRating.
Now, he is not quite catching Daniel Bowdler, so Bowdler is actually opening up just a little bit. Now, of course, he's still got another 2 minutes to go until he catches right back up to Marshall Stanley, so he's going to have to run some of the best laps of his life.
Yeah, we talked about him liking to be on the hunt. I think he would have liked to not be on this hunt this early, but if I had to guess, I would imagine Daniel Bowdler probably went ahead and got 4 fresh tires and fuel, so he's probably going to be able to stay on the lead lap here. The question is, can he use some pit strategy to his advantage to try to see if he can pick up some spots? I'm showing Nathan Nixon may have had some trouble further back in the field. I'm seeing him scored in 16th right now, but we've got
huge damage on that car.
Yeah, he took a shot somewhere. Not exactly sure what happened.
Let's go back. Let's go ahead and do our first wreck replay of the evening here. And let's go back and find out what happened to Nathan Nixon. Because, again, he had all that practice last night in the Truck Series. And so now we're going to find out. The big question was, are the trucks and the cars basically similar? And it looks like... Oh, wow. Ooh. He got some air.
Yeah, man, those turtles don't play, that's for sure. The trucks are pretty different from the Xfinity cars. I've said it before. The Xfinity cars are the most different between the three, the trucks, the Xfinity cars, and the Cup cars. So a lot less downforce on the trucks. on the Xfinity cars, and that may have contributed to him missing this chicane here. But you see, he tried to cut it right and go ahead and make that chicane, and he just tore up the car. He probably should have just rolled through it and completely missed the chicane, and then he wouldn't have the damage. He would have had to serve a small time penalty, but he would have been okay. I'm sure if he could go back and do that again, that's what he would have done.
Yeah, and now back live. He is back in 16th position. Going back up front, Marshall Stanley has opened it up to 5 seconds now on Jake Rowell. And now we're about halfway through this fuel run. And so I'm going back a little bit because it looked like there was some damage back here. It was Brad Williams again with Eric Hoke, and they were just kind of off pace. But now they are back and running.
Yeah, we got trouble for Derek Da Silva as well. I'm showing he just had an incident enough to trigger a crash report. I'm not sure what happened to Derek.
Oh, and somebody's backwards.
Turned around.
That's the 68 of Mark Brown from Rev Racing.
Just chaos all over the place, Sean.
Yeah, that's Troy Teichmeyer now. Oh, he was hard into the tires.
Wow, yeah. Man, it's just so easy to miss these corners, and because every single turn is the same in the sense that you're really high speed by the time you get to them, and it's just so difficult, man. It's when you're trying to get that car wound up, and if you lock it up or you feel like you haven't, you're not going to make the corner, and then you press that brake a little too hard, and then you're going to slide right through it. And unfortunately, there's no soft padding anywhere for you to catch you and make you feel better about yourself. So it's a tough racetrack to get around, that's for sure.
So number 31 here, Greg Linick, he is back in 21st position, but he started off in dead last. He started off in 35th. He's up 14 positions already. And remember, last night, he led the first part of that race. Oh, and now he's into the wall.
Yeah, and we also had somebody look like they may have – look at they're spinning through the chicane. Just all kinds of trouble trying to get through that corner. And looks like there was trouble back on the bus stop for – I think that was Nathaniel Mon. He had an incident back there. So these guys are they've really got their hands full. It might have been Danny Dow back there on the bus stop, but just a handful for the entire field tonight.
Well, we're going to go back and check that one out as well. And so Nathaniel Mon here for Bronco Motorsports. And it looks like he's already got some damage about to go into that bus stop. Oh, and okay, there you go. So he just got into the 35 a little bit. Josh Marcy was already sideways.
Yeah, that looks like that's over in turn one, right when you come off of the oval, and he come around that corner and there's a car sideways, and then you panic and you spin it around yourself. We got Matthew Johnson, he's around. These guys just trying to figure out how to get around this place. Forget trying to race each other. We just need to log some laps.
Yeah, and again, that's the really fun part and hard part about road racing. One mistake, and you're going to go down, a lot of positions there. But at the same time, it's kind of nice sometimes to be in a race that doesn't have cautions, so you can just get out there and do it.
Yeah, and it's what's key to this style of racing is when you do make that mistake, is to not push too hard to try to make up for it. It's so easy to kind of think, man, I made that mistake. I got to go. I got to make that time back up. But you just got to remember, a lot of people, everybody who just passed you when you just looped your car around in whatever corner it was, they're probably going to do it at least once before this race is over with. So if you just hit your marks and, keep it smooth, you can probably make the time back up.
Now, I'll tell you, Marshall Stanley has not really been able to put up too much more distance on Jake Rowell. It is still within 6 seconds, and that's where it was just a couple laps ago also. So not sure if he's just out there trying to conserve tires and fuel, knowing what happened last night to Daniel Baldler, but he is not pulling away nearly as much as he was in the beginning.
Yeah, I don't think he really is going to feel the need to push too hard anyways. He's got the lead opened up. And I think he knows that he's probably faster than Jake Rowell. So no reason to push it too hard. And you've got the gap that you need to be able to hit your marks and keep it smooth. And I think that'll probably be his strategy here.
Now back in third, we got Nick Gowan here for Bronco Motorsports. And his teammate in fourth, Rhett Tucker, just behind him.
Yeah, these two guys are having a great run in here tonight for Bronco. And they're just keeping it smooth, staying out of trouble. And right now, that just seems to be the key. if you want to hang around in the top 10, because just about every car we've seen tonight has had some sort of issue.
Now, remember, Zachary Taylor went off track a little bit earlier. He's our points leader, and he got shuffled all the way back to, I think it was 21st, and now he's all the way back up into 9th, so he is on the move.
Yeah, that's right, Sean, and we're still showing him in his throwback scheme, and I guess he just liked it so much he's going to bring it back out here. And if the key for him, if he wants to maintain that points lead, is just take care of his stuff and just get a good consistent finish, because he's got a pretty nice gap there on top of the standings. So if he can just keep doing what he's doing, he should come out of here with a top 10.
Heading back up towards the front, Marshall Stanley has finally broken that 6-second barrier. Now it's about 6.1, and so he is starting to spread that lead out just a hair. But going in front of him, and you can see it on the track map, that number 6 is no longer in last place. That's Daniel Bodler. He has moved up to 34th, passing Eric Hoke. And so now Daniel trying desperately just to get some distance between him and Marshall.
Yeah, Daniel will want to keep as many cars between him and Marshall as he can, and that'll help him, stay on the lead lap. And something to consider too is if Marshall Stanley gets to Daniel Bowdler has the speed to fend off Marshall Stanley. Most times when you're at a road course, when the leader catches a guy who's in 34th or 35th, that guy kind of feels inclined to let him go, because obviously he just ran me down an entire track. That's not going to be the case for Daniel Bowdler. So if Marshall Stanley gets to him, I don't imagine Daniel's just going to let him go. He's going to feel pretty inclined to try to fend him off, and that could allow Jake Rowell to creep back up here and maybe make this a race.
Speaking of Jake Rowell, still 6.7 seconds behind first place Marshall Stanley, but running a nice clean race right now, just biding his time, and if it's going to come to him, it's going to come to him.
Yeah, when you got a guy in the field as good as Marshall Stanley at these road courses, I think, you're right where you want to be in second place. And, the way, historically speaking, the guy who's been behind Marshall Stanley in second place has been in pretty good shape at these road courses. So maybe he can make something happen here if Marshall Stanley does have that issue tonight.
Yeah, he's got to be careful with Eric Hoke right here in front of him. Eric's been off track a few times, and so he's just got to take his time and get past him. Just try to keep it as clean as possible here.
Yeah, the key to navigating this lap traffic is just finding them. You got to, when you catch them in the right spot, and you see that got really tight there. You want to catch them in the right spot, and typically corner entry isn't really where you want to do it. You would think that's the easiest place to do it, but it's so easy to kind of overdo things trying to get around them real quick, so you don't have any issue with them, and then you miss the corner. I think we kind of saw Daniel Bowdler do that last night in the Truck Series race down there in turn 1. And so that's going to be the key to navigating the lap traffic, is just trying to find them in the right spot and waiting until you got a safe moment to pass them.
So we saw Cody Havens go off track there. Now we've got Mark Brown off the track as well, so he gets right back up on there. And so we're coming to almost pit stop time.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the story of the race, Sean, and because there are no cautions, there are no stages, there's nothing like that. I mean, the only place that you can make up time on a guy, if you're not able to just flat out beat him, is going to be during the pit cycle. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody employs any strategy to try to make up some time on Marshall Stanley and company.
Well, I know we had a driver last night that tried to go no tires, and it just did not work out for him at all. So I still think you got to get those fresh tires here.
Yeah, I've been in a position before at a road course where, there wasn't really much fall off, if you didn't take any tires. But at this place, I don't think that'll be the case, simply because you're so hard on the brakes. And you probably, even if you run a good smooth race, you're probably going to lock them up at least 1 or 2 times. So, if you can take care of your stuff, it may be worth a shot to try to pick up spots. But I don't think you want to do it on the first stop at all. I think you'd want to wait until that second stop when, desperation mode's kind of kicked in.
And now you can see Marshall Stanley has caught up to lap traffic. And so now the question is exactly, can he get through everybody, or will this be a repeat of the last couple of road courses he's had?
Yeah, I can bet you he won't be, super eager to get to these guys' bumpers and push the issue. And that may allow Jake Rowell to try to close this gap. It seems to have stalled out around 6.5 seconds as Marshall has caught up to this lap traffic. So if he can keep hanging in there, he might have a shot at this thing. It just all depends on how Marshall's able to get through this lap traffic.
Well, and just to kind of show exactly what we're talking about as far as the distance is concerned, if you look at your map there, then we'll be able to show you first, second, and third place right there. So that is the distance gap between first, second, and third place. It's pretty well spread out between first and second, but even more spread out between second and third.
Yeah, just, everybody, when you attack these road courses, you've got so many different corners, so many different ways that people will attack them, and like we said, there's 11 turns around this place. If you lose 2/10 in every single turn, you're losing 2 seconds on a lap. So it's a pretty difficult place for there to be any close side by side racing, just because there's so many opportunities to make mistakes.
Kind of going back through the pack to see who we haven't really touched on here, but Mike Lepicki in the 46, he is up in 11th position. Started off in 13th, up in 11th, and again, he's second place in points overall. So he is working on catching up to Nathaniel Mon, but just 3 spots in front of him is his teammate and the points leader, Zachary Taylor. And even though they're teammates, I know Mike Lepicki would love to get some points and kind of close that gap a little bit.
Yeah, and he's just trying to keep it nice and smooth here and see if he can't pick these guys off one by one. And so far it's working. He's just outside the top 10. So if he can keep doing what he's doing, it could be a pretty good night for him.
And it looks like Jake Rowell is going into the pits. So he is the first one that is we had Nathan Nixon in there a little bit earlier, but he is really the first one of our leaders coming down into pit road. So maybe this is a strategy for him to hopefully just gain a couple of seconds just for a couple more laps.
Yeah, I'm not sure that, it looks like the lap time fall off is about 3 seconds, give or take, 2.5 to 3 seconds. So, if Jake Rowell, he pits now, Marshall Stanley waits 2 laps, that could be the 6 seconds he needs. The only difference is when Marshall Stanley comes out, his laps are, or his tires are 2 laps fresher than the leaders. So, we're trying to employ the pit strategy to see if we can't close that gap a little bit.
And Jake Rowell comes out of the pits in 6th position. So he is about 19 seconds behind, 36 seconds behind Marshall Stanley.
Yeah, we saw that gap be about 35 seconds last night when 2 guys pitted. And, they were right on each other when they pitted. So this may be able to work out pretty well for Jake Rowell. As you see, he's already starting to shave time off of it, with those fresh tires. So I think when after Marshall Stanley makes his stop, it should be pretty tight between those two.
Well, so here's an interesting little stat for you. So Marshall Stanley has the fastest lap on the track of 156.53. Second place right now is Jake Rowell with 156.94. In third place, he's all the way back here in 29th, Daniel Bowdler with a 157.34.
Yeah, Daniel it's an unfortunate deal for Daniel that he had the trouble he had, because I think we could have wound up having a good race. We see our race leader going to bring it down pit road, but Daniel, he's going to keep fighting, and I think he can pick up a good bit of spots. Remember, he as far as I know, he got fuel and tires on that when he had to come down and after he had to tow. So if I had to imagine, he would probably stay out as long as he can here and see if he can't change the cycle up on these leaders a little bit.
Yep. Now Nick Gowan. We're going to see here if he can take the lead, and he will. And so if he can stay out there for another lap, then he could gain a bonus point.
Yeah, and that may be something you see these guys try too, especially if you're struggling tonight. Is let me go ahead and get the point that I can get, by leading the lap, because if I know I'm going to run 25th or so, which obviously Nick Gowan's running much better than that, so this may not be the strategy he takes, but just trying to find bonus points wherever you can get them. They all matter, so that's for sure.
So Jake Rowell moving up into 5th position now.
Yeah, and we see what that gap turned into between him and Marshall Stanley. It's about 2 seconds, after Jake Rowell and Marshall Stanley both pitted. So it was 6, now it's 2, so he picked up 4 seconds. Now, the only difference, like I said, is Marshall Stanley does have 1 lap fresher tires, and it may not sound like a lot, but it makes a difference. Another thing, though, that's going to come into play here is now that guys are starting to pit, the lap traffic is starting to come a lot quicker, and it's starting to become a lot tighter. And Marshall Stanley actually just got held up behind a lap car as they came back out on the oval.
Yeah, but Marshall Stanley now has moved up into third, and Jake Rowell still a couple of seconds behind him, so he's still got to compete with Christopher Heller, who has not pitted yet.
Yeah, and I made a mistake there, Sean. I was showing Christopher Heller was not for position, but then it updated and it was for position. So Christopher Heller let him go once they come back out on the oval, and so now Marshall Stanley's just got to keep it mistake free, and Jake Rowell is he's going to try to keep him close in his windshield here as these last two guys pit in front of him, Rhett Tucker and Nicholas Goen. Then we'll kind of see how this thing cycles out.
And Marshall Stanley is tracking them down even without them going to the pits just yet. So Rhett Tucker almost within a second now, and there it is. So they're within a second of Rhett Tucker. And so we're going to see if Marshall can make that pass. And with the new tires that he has, it shouldn't be that difficult of a pass here.
Yeah, but you just gotta be careful here. You don't want to get in here too hot and make a mistake. And you see Rhett Tucker there locked him up coming down. You saw the tire smoke. These guys Jake Rowell locked it down too. I thought he was going to go spinning, but he wound up holding on to it. And you see Marshall Stanley, I mean, he squeezed it up to the fence there trying to get around him, and that just gets really scary, but Marshall made it happen, and so now he's going to try to drive away from these guys here.
So Marshall Stanley back to the lead, and so his lead is currently 3 seconds over Jake Rowell, only about 1.2 seconds over Rhett Tucker, but Rhett has not pitted yet.
Yeah, and remember, you're looking at about a 35-second, swing as far as the interval goes. So when Rhett Tucker does pit, I mean, he's going to be almost 40 seconds back, if not a little bit more. So I would imagine we'll see him come this time. No need to stay out here and keep losing time on these guys.
And so now the lead over Jake Rowell is 5 seconds. So Marshall Stanley doing a great job trying to get all that time back that he lost while Jake got into the pits first.
Yeah, and it's just he's got those better tires, and he's trying to open up that gap back to where he had it, so he can kind of relax and mind his own business here. But it's Jake Rowell's doing what he needs to do. He's staying there, and he's doing enough to at least Marshall Stanley has to at least pay attention to him. And when you've got that guy in your relative and he's back there, you can kind of make you push a little harder, and that can force you into mistakes. So Jake Rowell would love to be closer, but I think he's, all things considered, he's not in too bad of a spot.
You still have a few guys that just still need to pit. So you can see Stan Houseman there in the 39 Tropical Smoothie car having a few issues there, so he'll need a fast repair shortly.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of fast repairs got burnt early on, and that's usually not as bad here at a road course because by the time you use it, you should be pretty spread out with everybody. But right now, Marshall Stanley is hoping he doesn't have to use one as he tries to continue to navigate this lap traffic.
It seems like people are starting to get used to this course a little bit. We have not had nearly as many off tracks in the past, 5-6 laps as we had right there in the beginning. So I think people are starting to kind of get the line.
Yeah, you start to figure out, your breaking points and where exactly you can push. And I think it also starts to click in your head that, man, I'm pushing hard and it's not working. And so there's no need to keep doing it. So these guys will, they'll get better as the race goes on. And that's with anything, right? Practice makes perfect. So these guys will continue to get better. I don't know if anybody's going to get, better enough to run down Marshall Stanley, but they're at least keeping the cars on the racetrack, and that's a good start. So,
yeah, and we're keyed in right now on Zachary Taylor, our points leader, who, again, started off in 10th. He's up in 6th right now, but he had an incident a little bit earlier that dropped him all the way back to 21st. So if anybody's got speed out there, it's him, and he's running in the 157s, which is really, really great lap times.
Yeah, he's having a pretty good run, given that he was one of those guys that said that he wasn't too confident in his ability at the road courses, but so far so good for him, and he's maintaining, and that's the key here to try to get a good finish.
But again, I mean, just to kind of show people what we're talking about, this is the distance between Zachary Taylor, who is in 6th place, and 1st place Marshall Stanley at the bottom of the screen there.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 6 positions there, and it's half of the track. I mean, you're not going to make that up on track, and it's going to take some pretty massive mistakes by our leaders for him to make it up. But I don't think you ever leave a road course and with a fifth or sixth place finish and you're upset. So I think Zachary Taylor right now is probably pretty happy with his performance so far.
And Rhett Tucker finally jumps into the pits here on lap 16 now, and so that could be a huge advantage for him. He might be trying to do this thing on 2 stops.
Yeah, I would imagine these guys have kind of got it figured out to where they can do it in 2 stops. Even coming down, on lap 12, we saw a lot of them. We saw Jake Rowell on lap 11. I can't imagine that they would be willing to go an extra stop. But we don't know yet. They may have it figured out, they may not, and we may see a repeat of last night. You still got Daniel Bowler, who last time he was on pit road was when he had that incident. So he's still clicking off spots right now, and this he could be have a big advantage here with being on a different pit cycle than everybody else.
Yeah, again, Daniel Bowler in 20th position right now, but again, disaster struck really early in the race, and now he's up in 19th, but he dropped all the way back to 35th as he had to take a tow because of mechanical issues, and now he is just trying to stretch this fuel as much as he can, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what lap that was on. I can
lap 2. He pitted on lap 2. Actually, it was on the second lap that all that happened.
Okay, so if he did take tires and fuel, I mean, he's still he's about 14 laps into this run that he's on. So he could I think he can probably stretch it a little bit longer. As obviously we just saw Rhett Tucker go 16, almost 16 laps. So Daniel Bowler he's got to pull out the strategy car. That's really the only option he has at this point.
Yeah, it would definitely make things interesting if he only went 2 more stops. So this one that he'll be doing here shortly, and then 1 more after that, because all math going into it, it looks like Marshall Stanley will have at least 2 more stops too.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference with those two is unfortunately for Daniel Bowler, Marshall Stanley is about a minute and a half ahead of him. So, he's still going to need some help in order to try to close that gap at all. I just don't see that happening. But, you look, he's a minute and a half behind our leader, but, he's within 10, 12 seconds of about 4 or 5 guys here. So he can continue to click off spots. And I said top 20. He may be able to squeeze out a top 10 if things fall right for him.
One guy that's definitely on the move right now. So Greg Linick up in 14th position. So he started off in dead last in 35th, and now he is all the way up in 14th. And that car is looking nice and clean.
Yeah, he had heartbreak last night. He was our leader, and we're getting down into 1, and I believe he's coming up on a lap car, and it looked like he locked him up or something happened to him and spun him around. And so he's looking to try to bounce back from that because he was definitely the class of the field last night early on.
And Nick Gowan up here in 3rd position. And so he's just been up here in this top 3 pretty much the entire race, just kind of biding his time and just waiting on one of those top 2 to mess up.
Yeah, that's what it's going to take because he's 18 seconds behind these guys or behind Marshall Stanley, and that's about 10 seconds now behind Jake Rowell. So, I mean, you're going to have mistakes if you want to pick up spots if you're up in the front. I don't know, about 4 cars. Looks like we got a pretty close battle here between 4th and 5th. Christopher Heller and Zachary Taylor. They're at least within earshot of each other on the racetrack at the moment.
Yeah, and as we're going into this chicane, that is where it seems like Zachary Taylor is catching up, and you can see he gets pretty close to him there.
Yeah, that could turn into a pretty good race right there. You see that a lot. We saw that last night. Daniel Bowler was trying to run down Nathan Nixon, and that was the spots that he was picking up the time was going into the bus stop and into the chicane. Especially if you're the lead car, you're the guy that's out front. As you see, Christopher Heller just made that mistake, and that's going to allow Zachary Taylor to get around him. If you're that lead car, you tend to you don't want to push too hard getting into those high speed corners because you don't want to make that mistake, and that allows the guy behind you. He can push a little bit harder because obviously he's trying to close the gap, and he has a lot less to lose if he makes mistakes. So I think a lot of the times that's what you see in those high-speed corners like the bus stop and the chicane. Daniel Bowdler is actually rolling through the chicane as we speak right now, or the backstretch bus stop. He didn't even try to make it. And it looks like he's having another issue, Sean, as Marshall Stanley is going around him. He may be out of fuel.
Let's jump in. Yeah, his car is dead right now, so he may have just run that thing out, shades of last night.
Yeah, the fuel mileage has not been treating him well. I don't know who's on the box giving him calculations, but he may not have a job after this week.
Yeah, he is going to fire his fuel man, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's unfortunately going to bite him again here, Sean. And I don't know if he could have obviously, come back and gotten a great finish, maybe, even competed for the win after the mechanical issue. But the fuel definitely bit him last night, as he should have won that race. And unfortunately for Daniel, that's probably going to he's towing again. So that's going to end his night for sure, I think.
And so we've got Marshall Stanley still out front by about 11 and a half seconds over Jake Roel. So just kind of running away with this thing. And as we go back a little bit further, so we got Aaron Gerwitz trying to work on Curtis Young here. And Gerwitz, again, one of the more consistent racers in the league usually. And so he's up in 16th. Now, he started off at 12th, so he hasn't fallen too much. But he's had a couple of little issues here and there.
Yeah, the cream rises to the top, Sean, and we're seeing some familiar names out front, and Aaron Gerwitz is one of them. But he was up towards a little bit, further towards the front earlier on, and but he'll continue to pick up spots, and I think he can definitely get a top 10 out of this thing if he keeps doing what he's doing.
Let's check in on Devin Zimmerman. We saw him have some issues a little bit earlier. So here he is. He's up in 18th position. So still running a decent race here, even with those issues. And if he can get those things figured out, he's always been one of the faster ones on the track.
Yeah, it's like I said, Sean, when you make a mistake, you don't need to push too hard and try to make up for it, because chances are somebody else is going to make a mistake too. So, he's hanging in there, and I don't think we're done seeing people in front of him have issues. So as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, I think he can pick up spots.
Going back up towards the front, Ryan Ducombe up in 9th place. We haven't talked about him at all night, but he's pretty much been in the top 10 the whole time, and that's pretty much his season. He's always up there in the mix, but you just never even realize he's there.
Yeah, and that's what it takes, Sean. You get towards the playoffs, and you have a guy who's sitting there, and you're kind of like, man, how is he 5th or 6th in points? Well, when you have 14, 15 top 10s, that you're scoring points, and you're scoring a lot of them, and you're not having to deal with those 35th place finishes. And then when you get your drop week, Sean, if you're the guy whose drop weeks are 12th and 13th place finishes as opposed to 28th place finishes, that's just going to help your points. It's just a matter of being consistent, and that right there can give you a great shot at going forward in the playoffs.
Now let's check on last night's winner, Nathan Nixon, back here in 17th position. So he started off in 14th, so he's dropped 3 spots. But it looks like he might, even after that big damage a little bit earlier, looks like he might have this thing going now.
Yeah, you can see he took that's the imprint of somebody's nose back there on his back bumper. So he definitely took a shot. But he's got it. Everybody's spread out now, so he's able to get in a groove. And luckily for him, damage usually isn't all that big of an issue at these road courses. Maybe a little bit more here at Daytona, just because you've got the high-speed oval parts of it, and I'm sure that's hurting him there. But outside of that, I think he'll be okay. And as long as he can keep that car pointed in the right direction, he should be fine.
Let's take a look and see how Jovi's doing. So one of our fan favorites out here. So he started off in 22nd. He's moved up to 20th. So not a huge move for Jovi, but he admitted that he's not the best road racer. And so just the fact that his car looks relatively clean is a win.
Yeah, the problem for Jovi is right now, if he peeks up in that rearview mirror, he's going to see the number 25 right there. He's going to bounce off the turtles a little bit there, and you see our leader coming through that chicane as well. Sean, if you don't mind, can we ride on board a lap with Marshall Stanley?
Absolutely.
See what he's doing. I watched him at the Roval, and I went back and watched some of his laps on board, and the way he drives that car is so interesting.
So everyone break out your notebooks. take some notes because this is the master at work.
Yeah, just doing his thing. You see the car wants to step out there as he gets back onto the throttle and using that curb a little bit here. And I think right here, I think this is the most difficult turn on the entire track because you have to slow down way more than you think you do. And then like you see, it wants to get real sideways there as you try to pick the throttle back up. And then this is the little left-hander we talked about where it gets really, really narrow right here. This track isn't but about 2 car lengths wide. You look at that. I've been down dirt roads that are about as wide as that right there. So you're talking about these guys trying to race. And right here, kind of the double apex. And then he's going to get hard back on the brakes right here. And then you want to carry as much speed out of this corner as you can because you're coming out onto the high-speed oval. And he does a great job right there of really arcing that corner. And then he's full throttle, picking it up. And then you'll see as we go down to the bus stop, Sean, how fast he's going to be as we enter that bus stop.
And so, yeah, he's got some serious speed here, and then you've got to get it woed up.
You'll see the numbers on the fence, 3, 2, 1, and then he jumps on the brakes there about halfway between the 2 and the 1. You're using that as a braking point. So we saw last night 2 guys that were side by or right behind each other. He's got a car looping it down the inside. We had 2 guys that were right on top of each other racing. It's so easy to miss your braking points because you're looking for those numbers, and all you see is a back bumper. Obviously, that's not the problem for Marshall Stanley right now, and Jake Rowe wishes he could make him have that problem. And then right here, this is such a difficult chicane, and you just almost forget it's there, like I was saying earlier, Sean. And he navigates it perfectly, and Jovi Saggy Pit is going to let him go on by as come back to the start-finish line and click off yet another lap.
And yet another great lap. So that was a little bit faster than anybody else on the track already. So that lead just keeps on extending. Looks like he's got about a 14.5-second lead on Jake Roel, which is just massive.
Yeah, that's a quick lap, and it looks like to me he's still driving it pretty, relatively hard, Sean. He's not, backing up his corners and being real easy on the throttle. So obviously he's in a groove, so you don't want to change that up. But that 14.5-second gap is going to continue to grow. And we just saw him lap Jovi, but one thing Jovi has going for him is he did hit the fastest speed we've seen tonight at 192 miles an hour. So kudos to him for that.
Problem is, the second you hit that, you've got to slam the brake.
Yeah, I imagine it probably didn't work out too well right after you hit that because that's about 4 seconds faster or 4 mile an hour faster than anybody else. So, but you see Marshall as he gets back onto the oval, man, he's just in such a groove, and unless he has another issue with lap traffic at the road course, I just don't see anybody running him down. And Sean, this is the reason I picked him 3 weeks ago, mainly so you couldn't pick him. Because I felt like he was the favorite coming in, and obviously he's showing that to be true.
Well, definitely he had high expectations, and he is one of the most humble drivers out there. We talked to him a little bit earlier this week in another chat, and said, "Man, you're the favorite out there," and he said, "I don't know if I want to be the favorite."
Yeah, obviously it didn't work out for him the last 2 times. I got the pleasure of racing in that Roval race last year in Mid-South Madness, and
this is going to get tight.
Log jam in front of him. Yeah, he really took his time there. Let's see if these guys let him go, Sean, because these guys are fighting to try to stay on the lead lap. It looks like Curtis Young may let him go as we enter turn 1, and this is right here what I'm talking about, where it's so easy to accidentally get into the corner too hot when you're the leader. But he does a great job there navigating that, and kind of put that behind him and relax again. But yeah, Sean, I raced that Rover race with him last year and he had to pit one more time than everybody else because of the issues with lap traffic, and he still finished third. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he was within about 30 seconds, or I think when he come out of pit stops after his last stop, he was about 30 seconds back, and he closed that gap. Down like 15 seconds or something like that. So, I mean, this dude is just a class of field when it comes to road courses, and we haven't seen anybody yet be able to challenge him. I mean, even Jake Roel, who's obviously showing that he's stout on these road courses, is just not quite in the same zip code as Marshall Stanley is.
Well, what's going to be really interesting about this, and let's just assume that Marshall Stanley wins this race, What is he going to do tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but Sunday in a Cup race?
I think he'd have to be the favorite going into it, Sean. I mean, you know, like I said, you kind of figure these things out, and listen, Marshall Stanley's road course prowess doesn't come from racing in these stock cars. He's normally doing this in Indy cars and open wheel stuff. So that's obviously transferring pretty well for him. So I don't think he's going to have any problem going from one stock car to another stock car if he's able to go from a V12 Indy car to practically what when you're out on the track feels like a shoebox with four wheels in these stock cars. So I think you have to be the favorite Sunday night, and I'm kind of glad I'm not going to be there. So I don't want to watch him run away from me. That's for sure.
Well, right now he's running away from the entire field. So Jake Rowell, 13 seconds back. Nick Gowan is 35 seconds behind Marshall Stanley, and that's third place. Now Jake jumping into the pits. And so, again, one of the first ones to pit right up here towards the front. And that might just be part of that strategy, hoping that he gets just a good pit stop and get right back out there and maybe just get one or two extra laps on good, fresh tires.
Yeah, Sean, I think he was, like you said, he was one of the first ones to come down. I think he's kind of got this thing broken up as he wants to. It's like Emerson Ardon had a problem. Showing he just crashed on my scoring, Sean. Not sure what's going on there.
Well, let's go back and find out with another Sandwich Man Rec replay. And Sandwich Man Racing and Sports Memorabilia. So definitely go and check them out. I know Justin Boyles did, and got some just fantastic little diecast models.
Yeah, that's something I've been into is collecting the diecast. And somebody had posted in the chat one of the deals they had. It was a mystery box of the smaller 1/64 scale diecast, and I ordered that. And, oh yeah, you see Emerson, he's just slid it down and just nosed it a little bit there in the tire area, but he's all good. But yeah, they sent me my box. I got it yesterday, and it was exciting to open. Man, I had fun. I felt like a little kid on Christmas, man. It's because I didn't know what was in it, and it was actually pretty cool. My throwback scheme from last week in the Cup Series at Darlington was actually in there. Yeah, I did a throwback to Bobby Hillin Jr., but Bobby Hillin Jr.'s was a throwback to Bobby Allison. So that was pretty cool. That car was in there. And another guy's throwback, Dave Feuds Jr., who's in the Cup Series, his throwback car to Rusty Wallace's Black Miller Light scheme. And Marshall Stanley's got a guy just sideways on the turtle in front of him.
Cody Havens. And now Marshall Stanley will come in and get some fuel and tires.
Yeah, Cody Havens was he was like skateboard grinding the turtles there. It's an interesting way to take that. I don't know if I've tried that one yet, but well, it can't hurt.
Nick Gowan's still about 35 seconds behind Marshall Stanley, and we'll see if he can close that gap at all here. And it might be that Marshall even gets out of the pits even before Nick Gowan gets there.
Yeah, I think he will, Sean, and that right there is the true testament to what Marshall Stanley is doing out here. Because, I mean, if you really think about it, Marshall Stanley is coming down the pit road speed, which is, I think it's 45 miles an hour here. He's stopping in the pits, and his pit crew is putting 4 tires on the car, and he's still coming out in front of guys who have not pitted yet. I mean, that's amazing. And as a matter of fact, he didn't just come out in front of him. He come out 7 seconds in front of him, Sean.
So, yeah, he is just the class of the field right now. We'll back out just a little bit here. So, Ryan Ducombe already came in and got his pit stop, but he's up in 12th, or I'm sorry, 12th right now. And so, as some of these other leaders start getting their pit stops, he might be able to pick off a few other people. Greg Linick started off again in dead last, 35th place. He's up in 11th, has not had his pit stop yet, but running a great race here tonight for Rev Racing.
Yeah, and I don't see him really losing a whole lot of spots when he does eventually come down and pit. So I think he's gotten himself pretty shored up there just outside the top 10, and that may be where he's able to finish it tonight if he takes care of his stuff. And that'll be a great bounce back for him after last night's problems.
Yeah, last night I had the lead by about 7 seconds, and then ran into some lap traffic. And when he got hit by that lap traffic, he ended up getting stuck in the wall, which is kind of an iRacing glitch. And he had to tow into the pits, and it was such a long tow that he just eventually dropped out of the race because there's no way he was going to catch up.
Yeah, that getting stuck in the wall thing is pretty irritating at the road courses because you nose it into the wall and you're thinking, man, I got to put it in reverse, and back it up, and you throw that thing in reverse and you hit the gas and it doesn't move, and it's just that can crush you right there because, like you said, it's such a long tow, and the way iRacing set up is depending on where you're at on the track, it'll change how long the tow is. So if you're at the entrance of pit road, your tow may only be 30 seconds, but if you're at the exit of pit road, it's going to tow you all the way back around the track, and you're talking about 3 or 4 minutes in some cases. So it was unfortunate for him, and that tow truck, he's making his money tonight, that's for sure.
Definitely, yeah. There are a lot of cars wrecking out there, especially towards the beginning of this race. It's kind of calmed down since the beginning. I think now that people are spread out, they don't have to make as many difficult moves out there. But there is definitely some damage, and then there's people like Marshall Stanley who are just running away.
Yeah, and what makes the starts of these races so difficult is, obviously everybody's so grouped up, but everybody's kind of in agreement that, hey, we're going to take our time, we're going to, just kind of be smooth here. And then you go down into turn one, and somebody's, saying, if Marshall Stanley says, hey, I'm going to be nice and smooth and easy going down into one, he'd probably still be faster than everybody else if they were pushing it. And so it starts to accordion everybody up, and then you got somebody who's, he's just trying to stay out of the way, and then they start wrecking in front of him. And it's just so hard to navigate, early on in these road course races because you're just trying to figure out where you can go to settle in. And we saw that in the Cup Series last year when they raced here. And they did that with no practice, but we saw some pretty big wrecks, especially in the in that carousel turn over in turn 3, I think is where it's at. I haven't quite learned the turn numbers yet.
Well, so I've got everybody from Bronco Motorsports pulled up on the racetrack there. And so you got third place Nick Gowan, you got fifth place Rhett Tucker, sixth place Gregory Joyner, and 10th place Nathaniel Mon would be the ones that actually get the point. Actually, I'm sorry, 8th place Nathaniel Mon would be the ones to get the points. So 4 cars in the top 10, so they're going to be gaining some serious positions.
Yeah, I think right now, Sean, that's our best performing team. And they've got a great run going, and that's difficult to do. To put 3 cars in the top 8, at a road course, man. They're doing a great job, and that's a team that puts in their practice. And I see their hosted sessions all the time, and so it's difficult to do, but it's not surprising that it's Bronco getting it done.
All right, for these people out there that don't understand what I'm about to say is absolutely unreal. Marshall Stanley just ran a 1:55.5.
Yeah, that's easily the best lap on track.
By over a second. It is the best lap by over a second out of anybody for the entire race.
So if you thought he was just kind of riding around and just trying to take care of the car, you're wrong. He's clearly pushing it, and he wants to open that thing up. And Sean, there's only 15 cars left on the lead lap. And it's about to be 14 because he's going to lap Jovi again. Jovi got his lap back during the pit cycle. You could finish in 10th place tonight and not be on the lead lap. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but you can see there all those times. So 1:55.5, again, more than a second better than the second fastest lap on the entire track for the entire race. So,
and Sean, that's comparing it to the second fastest guy on the track. You compare it to everybody else, and you're talking, in some cases, 3, 4, 5 seconds. You're talking about almost, a little around 4 seconds right there, just under 4 seconds over the 10th place guy. So, I mean, that's like I said, that's a whole different zip code, man. Everybody else is racing Daytona Road, but Marshall Stanley is racing Daytona Road tonight. He is on his stuff.
And while we have a brief moment, let's talk about this all-star race that we got coming up on May the 1st. We've got the draft day for it, so we're going to have myself, Adam Pettit, Danny Setzer, and Jason Tripp himself will be captains of this. And so we will be choosing some drivers. We're going to be choosing 7 out of the Cup Series, 6 out of this Xfinity Series, and then 7 out of the Truck Series to round out some teams. And then those teams are going to compete against each other. The top 20 from each of those competition races, those qualifier races, will go to the actual all-star race where there will be money on the line. There is a trophy in the works right now. We're going to have all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, and luckily for everybody else who's wanting to get drafted number 1, it's not going to be at a road course because I think there would be a pretty consensus number 1 overall pick, and that would probably be Marshall Stanley. But yeah, man, that's going to be a blast. I can't wait for that. And, whether I get picked or not, it's going to be fun to watch anyways. So that'll definitely be a good time and an interesting little setup that you guys here at Speed Racing Network have set up. And it's different. I think that's going to be fun. It should get a lot of eyes on it. And if you don't have anything to do those days, I definitely suggest tuning in because we don't do anything here at Speed Racing Network that's not fun. So
I can promise you this: the draft show is going to be epic because there is one captain. His name is Sean Griffith. That's me. That I am going to do everything possible to mess up the other guys' draft picks.
So you're going to be going with the just kind of picking guys that they want.
Oh, absolutely. If you've got Adam Pettit, who's the captain of Rev Racing, and he starts picking the Rev Racing guys, I'm going to start picking the Rev Racing guys just so he can't have them.
Well, Sean, you got to be careful. They could collude together. They might decide to split up that prize pool. So, man, it's going to be a good time, and I'll be interested to see. You'll be on track, right? So it'll be pretty fun to see you hop in the car and get out of the broadcast booth. Turn a few laps.
Yeah, all 2 laps that I complete.
Yeah, maybe it'll be more than just a few. We'll see. Maybe, last time we had an admin or somebody who's not a driver hop into a session, they got DQ'd before the race even started. So maybe that won't happen to you.
Well, the other race that we got going on is a charity race here for St. Jude. And St. Jude, very near and dear to a lot of our hearts. I know a lot of the admins are from here in the Memphis area where St. Jude Medical Hospital is. And if you don't know what St. Jude is a hospital for children that have cancer. And these children go to this hospital for treatment, and their families never receive a bill. And so it is just there to help the kids out. So we're going to run a charity race for St. Jude called the Revved Up for the Cause for St. Jude. It is going to be February 26th. That's a Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Central. You can go and find them on Facebook for just look up Revved Up for the Cause, and you can get your entry fee in there. So first place will get 200, second will get 100, third will get 50. But of course, if you can do it, then please get out there and donate. Such a worthy cause.
Yeah, Sean, and definitely a great thing that Rev Racing is putting on. And the charity races are fun, man. I mean, you get a lot of people out there, have a good time. I know I've hosted one before, and we had a great time and raised a bunch of money. So it's pretty cool that, get to see this iRacing platform, get used for great causes like St. Jude. And what they do is just awesome. And hopefully we'll have a great turnout. I think we will. I think these guys will show up and show out for sure. And it'll be a great fun race and some good prizes on hand. And, I think that's going to be a great time.
Yeah, anytime you're racing at Daytona, it is just a lot of fun. I know some people get really frustrated by Daytona, but then they keep on signing up for those races. So there's something to it.
Yeah, well, you're doing that big pack, and every time you join a plate race, I guess they're not plate races anymore, but the super speedway races, there's a really good chance that you're not going to finish the race. But then you see them, and you see them up, and you have an opportunity to race them, and you just kind of think to yourself, well, maybe this will be the one, right? This will be the one. It'll work out for me this time. And Albert Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result. But they're so much fun, man. You just stand in the throttle and just try to navigate all the traffic, and they're a blast. I love them. And So that's where you see a lot of the charity races hosted at, because that's where that's where people want to race. They enjoy that style of racing, and it really evens out the playing field. All you got to do is be at the front at the end, right? Pretty easy.
Yep, and now out there in the chat, David Duke says that he's already in. I believe that's Vincent Cortez. He says he's already into the race as well. So good to see them out there. Now, we're keyed in right now on Rhett Tucker, and here's why. He has not had his second pit stop yet. And so if he can make it to 15 to go here and come in, that will be the last time that he'll be pitting. Huge advantage for him, because Marshall Stanley and Jake Rowell will definitely have to pit at least one more time. And so is this possibly a bold enough move that he has a shot at this thing?
No, it's not a winning strategy unless Marshall Stanley makes a mistake. It may be a strategy good enough for second place, but unfortunately for him, he's 50 seconds behind the leader. Mine just okay. There it is. Yeah, he's 50 and a half seconds behind the leader, and we've seen roughly be about a 35-second makeup there. So it's not a winning strategy, no, Sean, but I think it could be good enough for second place. We'll just have to see what happens.
Well, I'm trying to build up the drama here. Marshall Stanley has really just kind of killed the drama of this race right now. So 21-second lead on second place, Jake Rowell. We're trying to find any storyline we can find.
Well, hey, look, if you want to have some fun on one of these road courses with Marshall Stanley in, you do like they do with the 24 Hours of Daytona. The whole field takes the green flag at the start-finish line, but just make Marshall Stanley take it way back at the bus stop. And I think he'd still have a good shot to win it personally. I mean, you look at it, he's beaten half the field by over 2 minutes. So, but yeah, I don't. Rhett Tucker's going to have some help. And look, that's not to say it won't happen, Sean. I mean, we've seen it before, and I think this strategy will at least allow him to maximize his opportunity. To get that help, because he's going to close off a lot of time, but we'll have to see what happens. He's going to pit, and he'll, right now it's like he's going to be about a minute and 25 seconds behind, and he should be able to, close off about 35 seconds or so of that once Marshall Stanley pits. So, it could work out for him. We'll just have to see what happens.
And so out there in the chat right now, Sean Kozier, who put together the Revved Up for St. Jude, Revved Up for the Cause race, says that 16 spots have been signed up for already out of those. I believe 43 is what's available out there. So definitely get out there, sign up for it before all those spots are gone. Going to be a great race. And again, donate that to St. Jude. Very, very worthy cause to try to find a cure for child cancer.
Yeah, I needed to look into it, Sean. I definitely need to sign up if I'm not working that night, and it'll be a good time. And I tell you what, for anybody signed up, they should be glad it's not going to be on a road course. Otherwise, they'd probably be competing for second place. That could be fun. We'll just put everybody else on the oval, put Marshall Stanley on the road course, figure out what a fair number of laps for each group to complete to win the race, and just see what happens. Caution. It'd be really interesting. Marshall Stanley comes flying out of the road course section onto the oval, and here comes the entire pack, right?
There are cautions on the oval and not cautions on the road. Something.
Yeah, that would be that right here where Marshall Stanley's at. Could you imagine the entire field come thundering down? If you've never heard of Kevin LePage, look up Kevin LePage Talladega. It's worth the watch. Trust me.
We'll have to look that up later, definitely. Let's check in with a couple of our of the people that we know in this race here. So Jake Rowell here in second, so 22 and a half seconds back. Then you got Nick Gowan in third. He is about 59 seconds behind the leader. Zachary Taylor still turning in a great race here, so up in fourth. He's only 5 seconds behind Nick Gowan, so he might be able to pick off third place here before the end of this thing. Christopher Heller for R&D Motorsports up here in fifth, having a great solid run, just really not a lot of issues. We saw him lock it up one time, but that's really been the worst thing. And then Rhett Tucker, who's on that 2 pit stop strategy, and we'll see how that works out for him. So that's your top 6, and just going great.
We got trouble for somebody. He's in ninth, Alex Link. I'm just showing he crashed, and it looks like he had some trouble. I'm not sure what happened there, but
let's go back and let's have one more wreck replay here. So
he lost a spot out of that ordeal.
By Sandwich Man, and we don't get nearly enough nearly enough play for Sandwich Man here on these road courses.
Well, Sean, I think they got their money's worth last week at Darlington.
They sure did. They sure did.
Kudos to Tripp. Yeah, he just locked it up, getting down in that corner and spun it around, and did a good job keeping it off the wall. Hopefully nobody come by and hit him here. That's a good looking car. I like that race car.
It is.
Yeah, kudos to our league president, Jason Tripp. He set that up perfect. We went to Darlington last week, had every caution you could possibly have. And then he went to the oval. Yeah, he just nosed into the tire barrier. And that's what I was talking about, Sean. You make a mistake, and you're like, I got to make up for it, and then you make another mistake. And now you're not going to be able to make up for the mistakes you made because you've now made 2 mistakes.
Yeah, only 10 cars on the lead lap still, and Emerson Ardon is about to be a lap down also. So it's about to be 9 cars on the lead lap. Just an amazing show by Marshall Stanley.
Yeah, if I had to guess, if Marshall Stanley doesn't have any trouble, and he's kind of in a little bit of a sandwich here as they come through the bus stop, and he navigates. If he doesn't have any trouble, I think there's going to be about 6 cars left on the lead lap by the end of this thing. So that's it's pretty impressive. Yeah, for Marshall Stanley, not for everybody else.
That's just pure dominance, pure dominance on the track. And so going back a little ways, so we got through Rhett Tucker. So Greg Joyner here for Bronco Motorsports up in 7th. So again, just another one of those drivers that you don't really hear anything from, and then all of a sudden he's there.
Yeah, Marshall Stanley just came down pit road here for his last stop. Looks like he's going to bring some company with him. That's I couldn't tell who that was. My scoring's not refreshing.
That's Curtis Young. Curtis Young down into the pits as well. And then so Jake Rowell is actually going to take the lead just for the time being here. But, of course, he is going to have to definitely pit before the end of this thing.
Something Jake Rowell may try. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think there's any way you can make up all the time you lost on Marshall Stanley. But he may try to come down here and just get fuel only and just top it off and see if maybe that's enough to be within earshot of Marshall Stanley. But, I mean, you see how close they are right now. Here's Jake Rowell. He's coming out of that corner, and Marshall Stanley is coming out of about now. So, yeah, I don't think there's really anything Jake Rowell can do. To be interesting to see if he does employ any strategy. I'm not sure if he knows about Rhett Tucker, not having a pit anymore for this race. And if he does, that may influence what Rowell does when he comes down pit road, just to try to hold on to that second place spot. But yeah, Marshall Stanley, he's in the catbird seat. And all he's got to do is just keep logging laps and not making any mistakes.
Yeah, now Marshall's 6 seconds behind Jake Rowell on the track. But if Jake does come down and get fuel only, I mean, even if he comes down and gets fuel only, that's still going to be a 20-second stop at least.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was like 20 seconds behind him, 18 seconds behind him. So, I don't think it's worth it, Sean. But, you never know what he may try. Like I said, if he's aware of what Rhett Tucker's doing, it may influence what he does. But, we'll see what happens. It's interesting you get on these road courses and you have a plan, and then other people employ their strategies, and then it may change yours a little bit. But everybody except for Marshall Stanley, he's just doing what Marshall Stanley's going to do, and I think he could come down pit road and get out of the car and stretch a little bit, and it'd be fine. But
look how much he's gaining there on Jake Rowell. And so that's the only 2 cars that you can see on that track map. So Marshall Stanley and Jake Rowell there. And so just look and see how quickly Marshall starts to catch up, because it was 7 seconds. Now it's 4.
Yeah, between the fresh tires and just flat out being faster than the guy. I mean, that's where all that time's coming from. And, it's like I said, it's just at this point, it's just down to Marshall Stanley not getting caught up in any issues. And he's going to have a lap car of Alex Link here to his outside as he comes down into this corner. But Alex Link's going to cross him over here. It's going to hold up Marshall Stanley just a little bit.
Yeah, really crazy. Not a crazy move, a really strong move there to do that crossover, especially with Marshall being one of the leaders. But didn't really seem to faze Marshall too much as he closes the gap by another second on Jake Rowell.
Yeah, and as Marshall gets through this field and continues to lap these guys, you got to remember, now he that car he just lapped, Alex Link was in 11th place, so everybody else he's lapping is in the top 10. So at this point, it's going to get harder and harder to lap these guys, not just because they're faster, but they're also competing for spots, and that can definitely change this race, and that's where you typically see the leader get in trouble is when he starts trying to lap these guys who are also up here trying to battle it out. And especially if he gets up there and starts lapping these guys where they're in the money, because that could really change things up if one of those guys tries to fend them off a little bit.
And you can see Marshall has caught up to Jake, and Jake still has to pit. And so he's just going to fly right by if Jake dives into the pits this time around.
Yeah, if I had to guess, that Jake would probably come on down this time, and no reason to put both of your races in danger here and making Marshall Stanley pass you on the racetrack. So we'll see what happens, but that's my guess. I think he should take the left down pit road here. He does not, so just ignore what I said. I don't know what I'm talking about. He's going to make him pass on the racetrack then, and so this could be interesting because Jake Rowell's competent enough to run a good fast line, and so it's going to probably force Marshall Stanley to do something a little bit different to get around him.
Well, let's keep an eye on it as we go in car with Marshall Stanley, and he gets out on the outside of Jake.
Yeah, he should be able to complete the pass here. That's a pretty smart move by Marshall Stanley. Probably the safer move, getting on the outside of him here. And they're going to get in this really narrow section of the track, but Marshall's clear of them now, so they should be fine here. No issues, and a good clean pass there by Marshall. And Jake's not going to try to dive it back underneath him. So Jake knows he has to pit again. No reason to force the issue. He knows this is a moot point at this moment here.
Yep, so Marshall Stanley back to the lead on the track. And with 10 laps to go, and Jake having to pit, so third place is Nick Gowan, and he's 37 seconds back. So just a massive, massive lead.
Yeah, Sean, and I'm watching that I'm watching Rhett Tucker's gap, and it hadn't come down exactly like I thought it would. I thought he'd be in a little bit better position here to possibly pass Jake Rowell, but it hasn't happened for him yet. And it doesn't look like Rhett Tucker's going to be able to pick up a whole lot more. So that strategy may wind up hurting him, costing him a few spots here.
Well, so he's up in 6th place right now. So even if that strategy does, backfire, I guess is the best word there, he's still looking at a solid top 10 finish.
Well, you know what, Sean? I didn't take into account he's still got guys in front of him here that've got a pit. So, I think he may actually. I forgot Jake Rowell hadn't pitted yet, so he may actually wind up and Jake Rowell just came down pit road. So we'll get to see what happens right here. I don't know though. I don't know if he can pick up 50 plus seconds here, unless Jake Rowell has a problem on pit road.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but at the same time, he still does have Christopher Heller right in front of him, who Christopher has to come in for one more pit stop at least, and then Zachary Taylor 20 seconds ahead. So, I mean, still, I think he might be able to pick off a top 5 here.
Marshall Stanley just had a lap car wreck right in front of him. It was Michael Amenti went off track right in front of him. I mean, right outside his windshield. That had to be a scary moment for Marshall Stanley. Talk about flashbacks. It was down here in turn 1. I just kind of caught the tail end of it there.
We're going to look at it from Marshall Stanley's point of view. You can barely see the car in front of him right now. And then you can start to see the smoke just turn. Oh, and then it blinks out. So that's really how it works sometimes.
Good fun times on iRacing.
Yeah.
That was probably with Marshall Stanley closing his eyes, hoping we got another one down here doing donuts coming back onto the oval. That was Jay Graves Jr., I do believe. So.
Yeah, but he is back out there on the track. So that's the first time we've seen Jay Graves tonight. Not the best race for him, even though he started in 34th and he's up in 23rd. So he's improved his position.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all you can really ask for, especially if you're not a guy who does a lot of road course racing, is, just be net positive when you come out of this thing and don't damage the point situation too bad. And for a lot of these guys, man, this is going to wind up being one of their drop weeks here. So, definitely not for Marshall Stanley, and he's doing what we expect him to do, and I'm sure Jake Rowell is excited about his run so far. He's just got to finish the job, and you got a couple more up there. Zach Taylor, I'm sure he's pretty ecstatic. He's just outside the top 5, and he was one of those guys that, he's been great all season. He didn't think that he would have a good run tonight, and he's proven himself wrong. So, but for a lot of this field, a lot of front runners, Derek De Silva, Cody Havens, Daniel Bowler, Matt Johnson, a lot of these guys back here, it's just been a tough go for them, and unfortunately for them. Oh, Marshall Stanley just got hit. Oh,
that was Danny Dow.
Oh, wow.
We're going to go back and take a look at that. It should not hurt him too terribly, I don't think. But let's go back and take a look and see what happened there. Danny Dow crashes, and Marshall Stanley has nowhere to go.
Yeah, I think the concern for Marshall has to be now is that nose damage if it's going to cause his temps to climb. Luckily for him, he's got about a pit stop's worth of gap between him and second place. If anything is hurt too bad on that car, that he does have to come in and just get a fast repair. But you see it, yeah, just Danny Dow just wasn't aware he was coming around the corner there, and unfortunately for Marshall, he got into him. But I tell you, I would expect that left front of that car to be a little more beat up than it is, but he looks okay. He might be just fine here, but definitely a scary moment for Marshall Stanley.
Yeah, I'm sure he's keeping a very close eye on it. He's got a 30-second lead on Jake Rowell here, and so if you don't have to pit, obviously don't pit. But if you do have to pit, you're still only 5 seconds back, and you've got brand new tires at that point. So you might still have a shot at it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he would even take tires, Sean. I mean, I'd come on down and, if I was going to, I'd come down and just get that quick repair, assuming he still has one, and be done with it. I mean, that would probably keep him in front by about 5 or 6 seconds. So one thing that's going to discourage him from even thinking about doing that is there's a logjam of cars about 8 seconds behind him, 10 seconds behind him. So he don't want to put himself behind those guys and, have to worry about trying to navigate through them again.
Brad Williams off track.
Yeah, it looks like guys are starting to really struggle here. That appears to be in that same section. We saw Danny Dow just go around, and it's going to be Marshall Stanley's going to come around the corner. There's going to be another guy coming back out on the track again. So
yeah,
but he didn't push it. He looked like Marshall just kind of was like, I'm just gonna roll through this one. I'm not too big of a hurry, but there's 4 lap cars in front of Marshall, about a corner ahead of him. So he's going to want to get through those guys and safely, of course, and hopefully quickly for him. So we got Nicholas Gowan just came down pit road.
Jake Rowell still 29 seconds behind, even after the damage that Marshall Stanley has taken. So it's just coming out of those S's with all that speed, so tough, and it's almost a hairpin turn.
It really is, Sean. I mean, like I was saying, when we rode on board with him, I said that was probably the toughest corner because you just have to get so much slower than you think you do, and you almost feel like you're putt-putting around the corner. But if you go any faster, you'll miss it. And once you get in that grass, you might as well be on ice. And so it's a tough corner, and you carry a lot of speed into it. So definitely a tough deal. You see Zach Taylor, he locked it up getting down into that corner. So, he's in a battle for position here as Nick Gowan just came out of pit road. And they both pitted within 1 lap of each other. So that could be a pretty good race there for 5th place.
Yeah, Rhett Tucker, who pitted back on lap 31, and so he is playing the fuel strategy game. He is only a second behind Christopher Heller, who we think will still have to pit one more time. And so Rhett Tucker could be up in 3rd place here shortly.
Yeah, the only problem for him is the 2 behind him that are battling for 5th are only about 2 seconds behind him. Putting the bumper to him, Zachary Taylor getting a little impatient. He wants to get back around Nick Gowan. He's going to make the move here on the oval. Got to be careful when they get down to the bus stop here, Sean, because Gowan's going to be on his bumper. And so if he carries a little bit more speed than Zach Taylor, that could be a problem. But we'll see what happens. I imagine he'll lift a little early, and yeah, he does. So Zach Taylor is able to open that gap up. And on the flip side of that, if you're Zach Taylor, you see a guy in your mirror and you're coming down to a breaking point. It's really easy to kind of look in your mirror and kind of think to yourself, I need to go into this corner deeper than I normally would so I don't get ran over, and then you completely miss the corner. So, but they kept it clean, did a good job, and Rhett Tucker wants to see those guys continue to race behind him because he doesn't want to lose those spots. But I think he's not going to have much say in the matter.
Yeah, so he is still working on Christopher Heller there for third position. And we go right back up front to Marshall Stanley with 6 laps to go here, who has just, I mean, he's almost a half a track lead.
Yeah, it's been a clinic. It's been a clinic, no doubt about that. And, I mean, you're talking about 35 seconds. And Jack Correll's done a good job, just keeping them within that because everybody else is almost behind them by a minute. But Marshall Stanley's doing a great job. We got Mark Brown around in that hairpin, and that was right in front of Christopher Heller, Rhett Tucker, and Zach Taylor, but they all made it through cleanly. Mark Brown trying to get it back on track here. Gets it straightened out. That definitely threw a wrench in things there as Rhett Tucker he's right on the bumper of Christopher Heller, and then Zachary Taylor's right behind him. So.
And going back to Rhett one more time here, so still working on Christopher Heller, but you can see Zachary Taylor right there behind him. So, and on fresh tires too.
Yeah, at this point, man, I just hope these guys don't get into each other. I mean, you all got a great race going, and you just don't want to make any mistakes. Obviously, every point matters, and really outside of Zach Taylor, for the rest of these guys, you want those points because when it comes to playoff times, you see Alex Link, he had trouble there coming out of the chicane there. But, when it comes to playoff time, you never know, what the gap could be. It could be that 1 point that you didn't try and go get at the Daytona road course. But, but you also don't want to hurt your chances of having a top 5 by getting into anybody. So 5 laps to go. We're coming down to the end of this thing. And I think Marshall Stanley's got this one pretty locked up. And at this point, it's just sorting out everybody else.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at the best race on the track right now as Rhett Tucker tries to outbrake Christopher Heller. Can't quite get it there. And then Zachary Taylor waiting in the wings. So Christopher Heller dives into the pits for his last pit stop. So now Rhett Tucker will take third position, and Zachary Taylor will try to hunt him down.
Yeah, I think Rhett Tucker wasn't really going to try to push that too hard. We've got some crashing going on, unfortunately. It looks like Aaron Gerwitz and Joby Saggypin may have had some trouble. Looks like that was in the front stretch chicane. And but yeah, Rhett Tucker wasn't pushing it too hard. He knew Christopher Heller still had to pit. We got Danny Dow spun around there on the section coming back out onto the oval.
But Marshall Stanley, so 25-second lead right now over Jake Rowell. Only 5 laps to go. And then Jake's dealing with some lap traffic back there while Marshall Stanley just has Ryan Ducombe in front of him and then nothing but clear skies.
Yeah, he's coming up on Ryan Ducombe, and Ryan Ducombe is running in 8th position. So that's just to give anybody an idea at home what Marshall Stanley's been able to do. If you're in the top 8, you may be able to stay on the lead lap here, but
Just
been impressive.
Going back to that Zachary Taylor, Rhett Tucker competition here, so really going well.
Yeah, I think this right here is the best battle on track, and I'm interested to see, like I was saying, how hard Zach pushes. On the flip side of things, Rhett Tucker, he obviously wants the points. Zach Taylor really doesn't need to be concerned about points. He's got 2 wins. I mean, as long as he stays, in the cutoff spot there, I mean, he's locked into the playoffs, so I don't think Zach Taylor has to push too hard. But knowing Zach Taylor, I don't think he's just going to sit there and ride behind him either. It's a tough situation there. If you're faster than the guy, you want to get around him, but at the same time, you don't want to make a mistake trying to get around him. And they're going to be on top of each other here as we go down in the front stretch chicane. This could get interesting, Sean.
No, I think Zach Taylor kind of stayed back a little bit. I mean, I think he knows we've got 4 laps to go. There's going to be other times that I can pass this guy.
Yeah, and really the best place to set it up, I think, is coming out of the road course back onto the oval. If you can kind of set up a run there, that gives you the most room to get around the guy cleanly. But it's gonna be interesting to see how hard Zach Taylor pushes for this third position.
And he's going to get that inside position coming off this corner.
You see Rhett Tucker locked him up just a little bit there going into that corner. Just he's trying to hold him back. He doesn't want to give up that spot. That spot's worth more to him than it is to Zach Taylor, and they're going to come up on a lap car. That's going to allow Rhett Tucker to at least be able to relax a little bit because Zach won't be able to make a move here.
And that's Bo Tiffany, who's a couple laps down.
Yeah, but, he's running in 24th, having a tough race there for Bo.
And so now Rhett Tucker still holding off Zachary Taylor, but we've got 3 laps to go. Marshall Stanley still a huge lead, 25 seconds on Jake Rowell still. And so now
I'm showing 39 on my scoring. I think that would be more accurate because, you know, it was 30 when he had that damage when he got into Danny Dow, but I don't think it's hurt him that bad. Nonetheless, it's big.
It's huge. It's a huge gap.
Okay, that's weird. Yeah, either way, it's a big gap, and one that Marshall Stanley doesn't really have to worry about. Is looks like Wayne Rayborn may have just had an incident there. Not sure what happened to him.
So
right now, man, this battle for third is heating up. Sean, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, not at all.
They're coming up on lap traffic, and Zach Taylor keeps being able to get to the bumper, but then every time he gets to them, they come up on lap traffic.
And so what's amazing about all this stuff is even this deep into a tire run, Marshall Stanley, Jake Rowell are both still under 2-minute laps, which is not the fastest lap because obviously they're on older tires, but just the consistency that they've had to stay under that 2-minute mark while everyone else is running 2:12, 2:05, 2:02 on these older tires.
Yeah, and you know, typically you see the guys who lay down the fastest laps of the race aren't the guys who are still running the fastest laps at the end of the run, but that's not been the case. I mean, Jake Rowell and Marshall Stanley, they've got the 2 fastest laps, and they're continuing to do their thing, and they're making it happen, and they're staying consistent with it.
Yeah, Zach Taylor trying to cut the corner just a little bit, and he's going to try to outbrake him, and he bumps him.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of contact there. Zach Taylor knew he was a little too deep, and he locked it up. Great job by Zach and by Rhett Tucker there to not, you know, wreck each other there. But I think that answers our question is how badly does Zach Taylor want that position. It looks like bad enough that he's going to try to make a move.
And so Marshall,
this is a tough place to make the move. I thought he was going to dive it there. I'm glad he didn't, Sean. I don't think that would have worked. That's such a difficult place to try to pass somebody. You got to set that up on exit, and he did. So he's going to be all over his back bumper here, Sean. He'll try to get to the inside here when they go into the front stretch chicane. He's going to go to the outside, though. It looks like Rhett Tucker's not going to give it to him.
And you can see the car view from Zachary Taylor.
And as the white flag, or 2 to go this time. These 2 are, sorry. And yeah, it's just so tight. You can't quite do anything with them. And he's going to have to try to set it up again.
It's got to be frustrating to get right up on somebody's bumper and not be able to do anything about it. But pretty much tonight is a celebration of Marshall Stanley and Rev Racing. So out front now by 25.5 seconds, just all over this track. It's not very often that somebody defeats a track in this way.
Yeah, and man, this has got to feel good for Marshall. You know, the league wins feel better than official wins, in my opinion. And yes, it's got to feel good for Marshall because he's had so many of them just kind of get snatched away from him. And, you know, Sean, he's been good at the ovals too, man. I was joking with him, you know, a couple weeks ago, and I said, it looks like he learned how to turn left, and he just kind of laughed. But, Sean, he's figured out the ovals too. So this may, you know, the road courses may not be his only opportunity to get wins. And he's going to take the white flag. And I tell you what, looking ahead, we're going to fast forward a little bit to the playoffs. We've got a road course in the playoffs. And, Sean, if you're in that round, you need to punch your ticket to the next round before that road course because I think everybody's getting to see who that favorite is going to be, and it's going to be that number 25 car, Marshall Stanley.
And so going back to that third place battle, so it looks like Zachary Taylor has kind of backed off a little bit, just thinking, look, you know, I'm still the points leader. No reason to really kill it here. But going back up front towards going through the infield here, I mean, we'll check in on that battle again if Zachary gets any closer there. So it looks like he's still 0.7 of a second behind. But Marshall Stanley, again, just so smooth, such a great drive for him. Nobody near him, and this is a win that Rev Racing desperately needed here in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, turn their season around and try to pick up some spots here. And it's a big momentum win for not only Rev Racing, but especially for Marshall Stanley, obviously. And he can take this and he can know that, hey, I've got that win under my belt. I can race a little differently now. And that's the biggest thing about the winning you're in playoff format really is when you get that win, you can kind of approach every race you go to a little differently. Whereas you normally wouldn't take a 2-tire stop at the end of a race because you want to, maximize your points. He may do it now, going for the win. I mean, at this point, wins are what matters to him, and he's going to get the first one here tonight as he's going to bring it into the front stretch chicane. And as long as he doesn't have any trouble here, Sean, it's going to be win number 1 for Marshall Stanley.
And Marshall Stanley will cross that start-finish line and win this race, the Road to Daytona 150. And then we'll go back really quickly to third and fourth here, as only a second separates them. They still got over half a lap to go. So if Zachary Taylor's going to try to make a move, it's got to be here.
Yeah, Rhett Tucker does have a lap car in front of him there, so maybe an opportunity for Zach Taylor. I don't know though. He's losing time. He's now back 1.4 seconds. I think Rhett Tucker can breathe easy.
Yeah, and well, I don't know. Rhett's got a couple guys in front of him. He's got Zimmerman up there, and Zimmerman is Zach Taylor's teammate. Not sure if he's going to hold up Rhett Tucker here, but this is going to get awfully close coming around to the final chicane. Taylor gets into him.
Come on, man. He saved it, but yeah, you just hate to see that. There's no need for that.
Yeah.
There's no need for that at all, Sean.
And so, Zach Taylor's going to take that third position, and take that podium away. So
you just made an enemy for no reason. I mean, there was no need for that. Your teammate held the guy up, and then I don't know. I need to bite my tongue on this one. I hate to see that. I hate it for Rhett Tucker. It was a great run for him, and I don't know. I don't know about that move.
Well, going back out front, so Marshall Stanley wins this race in just dominant fashion. And again, another road course in the playoffs. Now, it is not a win and you're in scenario in this league, actually. So it was last season, but not anymore. But this is something that could definitely vault him up in the standings.
I forgot we changed that. I appreciate you correcting my mistake. Yeah, but wins definitely are worth the most amount of points. So nonetheless, it'll help him out for sure. So great win for Marshall Stanley. Great run for Jake Rowell. I think he kind of knew the odds were stacked against him coming in, but he did a great job in getting what he could out of it. And I think tonight we should get a little bit longer burnout than we did. I think Marshall Stanley will be fine on fuel here. So,
well, and
it's a long-awaited one too. I'm sure he's been ready to do this for a while.
While he's doing that burnout, I have to tell you that there was a winner tonight of the Shiny Car Award, and that was Jake Rowell. Jake Rowell had 0x for the entire race, and so he will win $50 tonight. So congratulations, Jake Rowell.
Yeah, that's a great job. It's tough to stay. I mean that obviously means Marshall Stanley had incidents, which if I would guess, it would probably be the 4 he got from contact with Danny Dow, but. Jake Rowell, I'm sure wishes he could have parlayed that into a win and really maximized on it. But great job by just running a clean race. And that's all you can ask for at these road courses.
Yep, and Greg Olenek out there celebrating with his buddy Marshall Stanley. Just a great drive by everybody Rev Racing there. And it sounds like he just blew his engine.
Yeah, that tells me he's trying to sneak something through post-race inspection. Great run there by Marshall Stanley. What a race for him.
Well, let's take a look at our final standings here. So Marshall Stanley in first, obviously, by 24.5 seconds. Jake Rowell in second, but he does win that Shiny Car Award. And then Zach Taylor in third for Tank Racing. Rhett Tucker in fourth for Bronco Motorsports. Nick Gowen in fifth for Bronco Motorsports as well.
Yeah, great run for all those guys, and Bronco had a great run. I mean, you see him fourth and fifth, and then you got Christopher Heller from R&D in sixth, but then Greg Joyner from Bronco in seventh. So great run for that team, and that's going to be a whole lot of team points between those three. And you got Ryan Ducombe from H2K in eighth, Greg Olnick in ninth, and that's a great bounce back after the problems he had last night. Emerson Ardon, who we saw had a couple problems on track, he bounced back and brought in a top 10 for the second top 10 for Tank Racing.
Yeah, Mike Lepicki in 11th for Tank Racing. Josh Marcy for H2K Motorsports, lap down, but in 12th. Nathaniel Mon for Bronco Motorsports in 13th. Alex Link, our newcomer, and an independent driver in 14th. And then Devin Zimmerman from Tank Racing in 15th.
Yep, Aaron Gerwitz in 16th for Rev'd, and Nathan Nixon, the Truck Series winner from last night, brought it home 17th. We saw him have some issues on track, but not too bad of a showing for him. And 18th, you got Jovi Saggyped, who said he'd struggle tonight, but a top 20 is not too bad for a guy who said he's not too good at road courses. R2D2 brings home Kevin Linker in 19th and Stan Hausman for Team SRN in 20th.
Well, let's see if we can't grab Zachary Taylor here, our third place finisher, and bring him up here and find out how his race went. Hey, Zach, this is Sean and Justin up in the booth. How's it going, man?
Great.
Good deal, man. Hey, man, great race. Ended up in third position, and there was a moment there in the very beginning of the race where you fell all the way back to 21st. What did it take to get back up there?
Patience. Whole lot of patience.
Yeah, definitely. Just a ton of patience out there on the track, especially in such a long race. With your teammates out there, and I saw Emerson came in 10th, Mike Lepicki came in 11th, and then Devin Zimmerman came in 15th. So four guys in the top 20. Do you think that this team is molding together, right here in the middle of the season at the right time?
Yes. I think we're coming together, pretty good. I think we're going to get us a pretty good lead here, and just keep pulling away with this team championship.
Good deal, man. Well, just a phenomenal season so far. So first place, second place, and third place now. So just keeping that thing going. Looks like you're trying to extend that points championship to where nobody can get you.
Well, this one should have been fourth place if it wasn't for that last lap deal with Red that unfortunately happened. It's a little bit of a boneheaded move to go down below the yellow to get him. But yeah, it's been an okay season, I guess you could say. Just looking to prove that I'm at least a little bit more decent in a couple different ways.
All right, man. Well, we're going to let you get right back to it. Congratulations on a third place finish tonight, and we will see you next, actually in 2 weeks, back here at Daytona for the actual Daytona race. All right, let's see if we can't get Mr. Jake Rowell, who again, completely clean race for him. So just a really good run, and so I don't even know if he realizes that. So maybe we'll tell him when he gets up here. But hey, Jake, Sean, and Justin up in the booth, man, how's it going?
It's going well, boys. I guess if you're gonna lose, at least it's to Marshall Stanley. He knows what he's doing on these road courses.
Yeah, he kind of put some distance on the field, but you won something that he did not win. You won the Shiny Car Award tonight. 0x, $50. Congratulations, buddy.
Appreciate that. Yeah, when he started walking away from me when it was about 7 to 10 seconds gap to him, I was like, well, the only way I win this, is if he spins out, gets wrecked or something like what happened to him at the Roval. And then I was like, well, shoot, they got that $50 thanks to Sparkle and Shine. So that's what I was aiming for, and obviously got it done to get $50 in the bank account. So we'll take that.
Jake, you got to follow him all night, man. Well, you probably couldn't see him for half the night, but what's it going to take for somebody to beat Marshall Stanley on the road courses outside of obviously him having trouble like we saw last season, Mid South Madness with the lap traffic? But what is he doing that's just so much better than everybody else?
I just know he's got a lot of time, in road cars, things like that. Another answer to that question is Jacob Smith. He had his number last season. But he knows what he's doing, and obviously all credit to him. Nothing to take away from him. He just runs a different line than everybody. I was picking up on that, the first few laps, and it was just I wasn't going to try it out myself and, get myself in a bad spot and throw my race away. And obviously, I'm sure he put in a ton of time. I've done a lot of time for the Cup car, but the Xfinity car was a little different than I thought it was going to be. But props to Marshall. Obviously, whatever he's doing is doing it the right way.
Yeah, and look, he's probably going to be out there on track Sunday night. Outside of obviously you probably see yourself as one of the favorites. I mean, do you think that he can come up there and grab the win Sunday night?
Yeah, I definitely think he's got a good shot. It's obviously a little different. The Cup car, it's like driving on ice on corner exit. There's some other guys obviously that are quick as well in the Cup car, and that might be something that I kind of had tonight that he would have if he jumps up with us. Is just less track time in that car, on this road course. But I'm sure he'll give it his all, and I'm sure he'll be up front running the top 5 the entire night. And I guess another thing too to watch out for is just not having fast repairs. And so you got to be extra careful. My spotters were telling me he got damaged from getting in a accident. It didn't slow him down or anything like that, but that's just something to look out for too Sunday.
Now with your race, so I know you were just trying to be consistent the entire time. As he started to pull away, did you start to panic at all, or was it just one of those things where you're like, man, I hope he messes up, but there's just not a lot I can do about it?
We tried throwing strategy at it. We were going to try to go 3 stops, but it just wasn't going to work. The pace was going to be ridiculous. If I stayed out longer for each stint, because he was just going to be flying, alien style around here, with the fresher tires. So once we found that out after the first stint, that it wasn't worth it for me, it was just strictly just waiting for him to make a mistake or get collected. Obviously it's not something you want to see, but that was really the only thing that I guess could have happened differently for us.
Oh man, what a great race for you, and I can't wait to see what you do Sunday night. I know this puts you up in the conversation definitely, but then Marshall Stanley is going to be back out there on the track. A little bit different competition. I know you've got a teammate out there that's actually even better at road courses than you are, so it could be some more competition for him.
Exactly. I just want to thank our team, Roel Smith Racing. We put in a ton of work this week, and obviously it's shown. Didn't get the result tonight, but like you've alluded to, Jacob Smith, I think is the guy to beat for Sunday night. Scott Healy's really quick, and we've got Dean Brummett, getting faster and faster each day. So just shout out to them and everyone that helps us with RSR. There's a lot that goes into it, and we'll see what we can do Sunday night.
All right, buddy. Well, have a great night tonight. Congratulations. Enjoy that shiny car award, and we will see you Sunday night.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. You do awesome up there, both of you.
Thanks, man.
Good
Take
run,
care.
Jake.
Thanks, Justin.
All right, and let's see if I don't know. He might still be running around the track somewhere. He's probably 3 or 4 minutes ahead of us already to begin with. So let's see if we can grab him really quick and talk to him about just a dominant race. Hey, Marshall, this is Sean and Justin in the booth. How's it going, man?
Doing good. Just grabbed a beer and relaxing now.
I thought that you were probably grabbing a beer while you were driving. You were just so comfortable.
Sean, that might be the answer then to what we were talking about, how we can make it a little bit closer. We just make Marshall drink every lap and see if maybe somebody can beat him.
Yeah, I'd be 10 times slower if I drank while I racing.
Well, 10 times slower, you would probably still be okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, Jake definitely put up a hell of a fight today. I think he pretty much foreshadowed what Roel Smith's going to look like on Sunday. So I think they're going to put on a hell of a show for you guys for the Cup.
Yeah, hey man, look, I asked Jake. I said obviously outside of himself, and he's got a great teammate in Jacob Smith up there. What he thought about your chances Sunday night. He said you felt like you had an opportunity. The car's a little different. Unfortunately, I won't get to race with you guys. That'll be one of the weeks I'll have to miss. But I say unfortunately, based off the practice, may not be the worst thing. But how much practice A have you had in the Cup car, and B, do you think you have a pretty good shot to try to get the weekend sweep?
I haven't run the Cup car around here, but I heard they took the big spoiler off, so I figured it'd be a lot of fun to do. Sadly, I have 2 Indy League races on Sunday, which conflict with the SRN race, so I won't be able to run on Sunday. So
man,
I'll talk to Jason and everybody, but I think maybe at least we can give it to Zach or somebody that's not going to be able to do it. So, I wish I could come. It looks like a blast, but I'll be busy with other things. But today was a lot of fun. I really had a blast.
Well, man,
yeah,
go ahead.
I was to say that's a tough deal, but probably a good thing for everybody else in the field. And I wasn't aware that they took the big spoiler off of the Cup car at the road course, unless that was in the release notes today.
Yeah, I haven't double checked, but I think they may have. But I kind of feel bad for them considering I know a lot of them have put a lot of work in these last few days, and to have a switch up a few days before the race when you've had all that time practicing, I imagine it's going to be a headache for everybody. So probably be fun to watch in the broadcast booth, but for them, they'll probably be a little miserable during the run.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge change, Sean. That'll be something interesting for you guys to watch in the booth because that means they're going to a higher horsepower package. And if they do that, you're talking about these cars are already difficult to get off of the corner. And now it's going to be extra hard to keep the car from looping around as you get back in the throttle. So now I'm really glad I'm not going to race Sunday night.
Be fun to watch.
Well, so talk to us about the team aspect because this is the lowest that Rev has ever been in the team standings in Speed Racing Network. But now with your win and a couple other guys here in the top 20, is this the start of what we can look forward to for Rev Racing?
I hope so. I feel like a lot of us, like Mark and a few guys, have had some bad luck these first 3 weeks, and I don't think it is like the results are not translating to what they're capable of. And I think hopefully once we get back to the oval side next week, I think with the teamwork and stuff, with that aspect of it, having that many guys working together, I think it'll just be about being in the right position these next few races. And I think we can work our way up as we go, but it's just all about having some good luck here.
Well, man, that was not luck. what you just did, that was nowhere close to luck, and we appreciate you being humble about it and all that stuff. But just a completely dominant performance tonight. So congratulations on that, man. Go out there, celebrate, have a great time, and we will see you next week or in 2 weeks at Daytona, back here with the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, guys. Can't wait to go watch the broadcast after I finish this beer, and see you guys at Daytona. I'll see you.
Go ahead.
Great win, Marshall. And before we go, can you give Sean a big roll tide before you head out?
Oh, heavens to Betsy. See ya. All right.
Come on, Sean.
No, not doing it on this broadcast. Ain't happening. All right. So Justin, what did we learn here tonight?
We learned that Marshall Stanley is really good at turning right.
Yes, he is.
No, man, but I tell you, I learned a lot about Jake Roel. I didn't know that dude was so stout at these road courses, man. And even though the interval was huge, he was there, and we just found out Marshall Stanley's not going to be there Sunday night, and Jake Roel is going to have an opportunity, and I know he wants to bounce back from last week's ordeal at Darlington at the end of that race. So I think Roel is going to have an opportunity Sunday night to do just that. And if he's able to, man, you think about his last few races. You've got last week at Darlington, obviously he led most of that race, didn't get the finish he wanted. But then, he won the Xfinity race at Darlington last week, finished second tonight. I mean, he's starting to build some momentum, and that's a scary thing for everybody in that Cup Series.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Royal Smith Racing. All those guys, if that team starts to roll, then it's really, really tough to do anything with them. And so that's kind of the streak that they're starting to get on. And now going there on Sunday night, which we'll pull up that broadcast right here. So the Road to Daytona 200 going into Sunday night with, again, he said Jacob Smith, who is the best road course driver I've seen in a long, long time, besides Marshall Stanley. And so if Jacob Smith has the race that he's capable of having, then this could be a spot where Royal Smith Racing finally jumps up the leaderboard.
Yeah, and these road courses, you see that a lot. You see the specialized guys, really they can come out here and they perform well and they use these road courses. And you see that in real life too. You've got guys in the past like Juan Pablo Montoya, Marcus Ambrose, guys like that who, at most ovals didn't really perform, but they come out in road courses and win. So I don't expect it to be any different in Speed Racing Network. So these guys will, they can put together some good runs and build some points and kind of use these road courses to parlay them into some point standing.
All right, well, that is next broadcast, and that is this coming Sunday. But in 2 weeks, we are right back here for the Flavor Bomb 150 at Daytona. And anytime we're at Daytona or Talladega, it is an exciting thing to watch.
Yeah, that's going to be a blast. And you're going to have, I imagine we'll have a full field. I imagine we'll have some Cup guys in that one. There's going to be guys wanting to get in there and take their stab at Daytona. And I know there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to be excited just to be back on the oval. And, we got an off week between now and then. And even more exciting, Sean, we're going to be in real life. If you're a racing fan, the cars will be back on track that week. So, we have the duels in real life. So it's kind of build up the hype here as we head into the NASCAR season and we continue to push forward in the Speed Racing Network season.
Definitely. So for tonight, my name is Sean Griffith, and with Justin Boyles here. And Justin, always love having you up in the booth, especially here on a road course. So much knowledge, more NASCAR knowledge in his pinky than I have in my entire body. And so we certainly appreciate you being here, man.
Oh, man, I love coming up here in the booth and calling these races, man. I have a blast with it.
Well, we will see you again really, really soon. But everybody have a great night. And remember, always go faster.